Okay, hello, Mgtows. We were on the air. We were briefly going over what we wanted to talk about today. I was kind of leaning towards happiness. What makes you happy? Have you ever been happy with a woman? Have there been things that irritated you more than being happy? Should you be finding happiness in yourself? Are you your own entertainment? Or are you searching for that validation? Or are you searching from happiness with others? Or others that make you happy? Uh, we'll talk a little bit about that today. We're going to talk about a wide variety of subjects. We have 3 hours to do this in, and you know how these things degenerate to chat most of the time. And we're just going to try to talk about a broad spectrum of things. Today we have Gomez in to begin with, and hello, Gomez. Gomez D.
Hello. Hello, Traversable. Hello, world. How are we doing?
Good, good. This is good morning, bright sunny morning. How is the weather there?
It's overcast, warm, windy. That's about it. It's good.
That's about it. Is that normal?
For where I live, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's England in that area. Yeah, yeah. We're discussing a little bit about happiness and if you've ever, if you ever experienced that with or was it just stressful all the time, or was there moments of happiness with moments of stress that you just had to put up with? I was talking to a blue pill friend of mine, and what it rang a bell in my head. He said, "Joe, don't you want to be happy? Get yourself a girl." And I was like, "Oh my God!" I thought, is that what makes you happy? Just a girl, or is it just what leads up to, sex? Is it that these blue pill guys were just willing to ditch the rest of the day for that 20 minutes?
Well, it's an odd one, because getting a girl itself isn't going to make you happy for very long. It's going to be the same sort of thing as getting a new car or getting any other commodity. It's what you do with said girl after you've got the girl. And, as Mgtow, we're trying to figure this stuff out, right? So maybe a better question is, what can you do with a girl that would make you happy in the long run?
Yeah, and we have principles. Does it always have to cost? In today's society, it's dinner and a date and a movie, and that's $60, and then they expect these gifts. That really doesn't do nothing for your internal happiness. Having someone rely on you to be the entertainment. It's got to be a 50-50 thing, I think. And they got to bring something to the table besides, that 20 minutes or 40 minutes of pleasure at the end of the night where, you can't measure that in any kind of weights or measurements.
You can measure it in ounces, can't you?
Yeah. Yes, you can. I think you can measure that in ounces. We kind of believed on platonic relationships, searching for Walt, that Hollywood image of that perfect platonic friend, that always gets confused somewhere down the line. We've seen Pretty in Pink and all that, and those kind of movies where the male always had this slightly masculine female friend that was a platonic relationship, and those things always get confused. But that's the Hollywood version of it. In real life, do we have platonic friends? Are there any of those Walt women that just want to go have a beer, kick it around like the guys, and stuff like that?
Well, I've worked for a few female bosses in my time, and while they've got obvious sort of gynocentric tendencies, these relationships, although they're not friendships, are possibly what you could use as a model for what a platonic relationship should be, because you're not going to escalate the relationship you have with your female boss in most times to sex, essentially. Same thing, if there's I live next door to a 60-year-old woman, I'm not angling to get in her knickers or bloomers anytime soon, right? So right. These are, I need to have a good relationship with my next door neighbor for, variety of reasons, mostly to do with, boundaries and community type stuff. But I'm not going to escalate that to sex. And I think that's possibly where we need to think about this.
Yeah, you're right about that. There's a lot of girls, like you said, your neighbors. It's always good to interact with your neighbors and have a great setting to live in, because that makes things peaceful. Everybody watches out for everybody, and there are going to be women in your life that you don't have any kind of sexual interest in, and there's going to be family members, friends of family members coming around where there's no sexual interest. And but here in Mgtow, everything always boils down to sex, doesn't it?
It doesn't need to, but yeah, it does a lot of the time. It's not a lot different to how when we were blue pill, the goal of life was to get as much sex and to prioritize that over everything else. And now it seems the goal is to work out how to not get sex for the majority of the time, and a little bit swing backwards and forwards, where people are going, actually, let's try and get the sex, but not the other aspects of the relationship. It's still, like you said, it revolves largely around getting sex or not getting sex.
Yeah, it always revolves around not getting. And there's a large PUA segment of Mgtow, and that's what they do. Their whole life is taking classes and mini courses. You don't get credits for, a matter of fact, and going to these seminars and learning about how to entrap or fool a woman into giving just sex. Is that worth it? Is that what we should be thinking about all the time, instead of just entertaining yourself? There's so much entertainment out there. If just applied, making yourself happy can be taking on a hobby, working out, looking for those health things in yourself, simply serenity. At my age, serenity is so important, because I never had that before. Things just being peaceful. Anything that disrupts that peacefulness has to go in my life now.
I don't know if PUA is necessarily entrapment. It's a tool for sort of life hacking your way into a form of relationship that ordinarily would happen naturally. It's about subsidizing. You okay there? It's about subsidizing somebody's ability to get what may come naturally in other ways, right? So it's entrapment if you view it as entrapment going in. If you view it as just trying to compensate for other areas of your life, then it's that instead. It's not. It's all about the attitude going in, I think. Even the big guys in the PUA scene occasionally put out a video saying something like, "Don't focus on this entirely. This shouldn't be the only thing you do."
Right. Yeah, and it shouldn't be the only thing you do. We had an interesting discussion the other day. You applied some PUA tactics, or whatever we like to call them, to your life, and see if they were going to work out. And I think it's a good thing to do. Everybody, all Mgtows should know a little game, or should have a little game. But there's more. There's bigger psychological issues and bigger philosophical issues when you start applying these things.
Hello, Nico.
Hello, Nico.
Hello. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you fine. How's your day going, Nico? How's everything?
Good, I think. Yeah, it's fine. Doing better than other days, I would say.
Good. Yeah, we were just talking about, what makes you happy in life, and, PUA, applying some of the PUA, and applying, bigger platonic relationships. And we don't talk about platonic relationships ever, do we?
Not really. I don't think I've ever heard Mgtow ever discuss platonic relationships with regards to women. I'm guessing that's what we're talking about. Or are we talking platonic relationships as in the ancient Greek style, men with men?
Oh, no, we're talking about, just the example Gomez did was he's got a 6-year-old neighbor, so it's nice just to talk to her. It's nice to be a good neighbor. You don't have to.
60, not 6.
16? No, not 6. Oh,
No,
16.
no, 6 to 0.
6. Okay, that makes more sense. I would say otherwise that 16 is still legal in the UK, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I thought I heard 6 coming out there.
Yeah, I heard 6 to be fair.
Sorry
Yeah,
about
I'm advocating a platonic relationship with my 6-year-old neighbor.
No, yeah, 16. Yeah, you can have platonic relationships from anybody from 16 to 80. There's a lot of women that you just generally don't want to have them sexual relationships to, but it's just okay to be friends with. But we never delve into just how to be friends
With women.
Yeah.
You
Is it
treat them
possible?
like men, of course. I have
Yeah.
loads of female friends. Well, loads. They're
Loads.
going down, in terms of their numbers. 2 of them have moved away from where I live right now, so their number has decreased. But as long as I can bring a couple of girls into the group and not sleep with them, yeah, you can maintain the friendship.
I had this characterization of pickup, which was that it's not entrapment unless the person going in intends to do that with it. In a sense, I was characterizing pickup as being essentially a life hacking way of subsidizing some other sort of part of your life. How do you see pickup, Nico?
Well, I've been accused of being a pickup artist recently, so yeah. I wanna clear the air. First of all, I haven't had sex in 5 weeks. 5 weeks. It's a long time.
Weeks.
When was your 27th birthday? Has it been already?
No. I had my birthday. I'm 28, man. So my birthday is long and gone. But it's been 5 weeks since I've done it. I'm not missing it at all. I'm not looking for it. But I think the best characterization for game, and there is different ways to think about it. I mean, I came from that side of the manosphere in a way. I've been reading Rollo. Before that, I read The Game. Before that, I read mysteries, some Roycey stuff here and there. I even read Roosh for some time, and it's good in a way to understand, what women respond to and things like that. I guess if you want to utilize that, life hack is a good way of putting it, I think. It's kind of like knowing the codes or what buttons to press. But I think what people forget, and I think some people say it more openly than others. For example, Roosh is selling a product right now and telling men that, if you know game, you're invincible. You can sleep with anyone. You can do anything. You can do everything. Yeah, any woman is gonna be in your bed. Just follow whatever I say. Follow my tactics. Bullshit. It's absolutely bullshit. It's an art form, I guess, and the way that you do it and all that. Not all women will respond to it. It's good to know where you are with a woman, I guess, when you're approaching it. I don't know. I mostly like the side where the PUA community talks about inner game, and the only person that actually I enjoy reading right now is Rollo Tomasi, and that's why I invited him, because he's not talking about tactics. He's not talking about shit. He said in one post, I think, or a couple of posts about spinning plates, where he doesn't really say tactics. He says just approach multiple women.
Okay, yeah. And what we're really doing, isn't it a lot about philosophical exploration? We're trying to learn some things as we go, learning how to deal with the everyday average woman in our everyday average life. And then those things that you learn can be very, very useful moving up in a corporate atmosphere, dealing with issues in your life. So philosophically, it gives you it gives you a real good solid base to stand on when dealing with just all women.
I completely agree. I mean, the inner game part of it is exactly that point. Really, it's as a male, you don't have the experience of living as a female, so knowing some of the sort of like basic elements of the relationship you can form with females is useful, because at some point you're going to need to interact with women in another setting. Knowing your sexual market value, theirs, and how you interact with them, and what the results can be, it's going to help. It's going to help you distinguish where a professional relationship ends, or a platonic relationship ends, and a sexual relationship is beginning to form, and help you address: do I want to go down this path? Do I want to make use of this if you're so inclined, or do you want to rebut it? It's just a healthy thing to know.
Are you thinking about doing something with the 60-year-old?
Maybe if it helps me get ahead. No, of course not.
Right. No, it can help you get ahead. If you have a female boss that's in her late 50s or 40s and everything, and you see she has a sexual attraction for me, you can use that to move up. It's just flirt. You can flirt with her. You can make your position better than the rest of the guys. If there's this competition factor at work, play, any of those things we have to do, and there's a competition factor, PUA can work out very nicely in your advantage, couldn't it?
Right. Well, I'm gonna have to
agree, but it could go a wrong way.
And put it down somewhere else. If I'm going to start moving the boundaries of my property, I'm going to have to do a hell of a lot of PUA.
But it can help, man. It does help. I see what you're saying, like knowing how to talk to women and all these things. But it's assuming that as men we don't know how to do that. And the truth of the matter is, who was it that said it? It was Rollo who said it, actually, that every man has a certain understanding of game, right? No man will ever approach a woman as just himself. Not since, failing the first time and realizing that, that's not really working. I mean, you can eventually grow and become a person that, just being himself attracts women and all of that. And that just comes with, growing older, acquiring more assets, working out, all these things help. And you can attract women for that. But talking to women and getting the tickles down there and getting them to feel good and shit like that, while not necessarily saying all the good things, it does help. And I have used it in the past. Like I deal with women all the time in a hospital. Man, Jesus Christ, they're everywhere.
But there's a lot.
Yeah. I approach them, just have a cheeky attitude, in all what do you call it, essence, and whenever I was talking with friends of mine and stuff like that, they were asking me, what do you do with women, how you can, in a way, interact with them in a certain way and it goes well for you. And I tell them, look, I interact with them just like I interact with my sister and my cousins. That's how I talk to women. I don't give two shits about their opinions, and it works fairly well. Like I'm nice whenever I need to be nice, so I'm mean whenever I need to be mean. And when other people don't have sisters, or they were raised by a strict mother and the sister is older than them or whatever, I tell them, I don't know, treat them like you treat men. It works just the same. It really does work just the same. And I remember experimenting back in the day. Whenever I could sense like a woman rejecting me, I would try experiments, and different experiments that I found work. I started treating them completely like a guy. So I would call them, hey dude. I would just use male language. I would give them manly hugs. I'm like, okay, done. Give them a slap on the ass on the way out. Really weird things. And as soon as they feel they're not sexual, then they just come running back. But that's all about understanding the interaction with women, and the fact that the main commodity for women and what they seek from every man is not so much money or anything. They want attention. They want to be the center of attention and get whatever that attention gives them. So once you take that away, they just stick on you like fucking I don't know, like a plaster that you can't get rid of,
Yeah,
and it will hurt to pull out.
a lot of people mistake that for being mean, and we hear this a lot in the PUA. If you be mean to a woman, she's going to love that. But it's not really being mean, is it? It's just, treating a woman in a platonic situation like you would treat a friend, a regular friend, a buddy, a pal that you go to the bar with.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the let's just be friends thing and all that girls do, or I think I'm doing the let's just be friends with them, because if you have a girl that you talk to her, you get along with her, and that's what I have difficulty telling people, that if I get along with a woman, I generally want her to be my friend rather than me put my dick in her, because it always complicates things. So I tell them, okay, you I like, you are my friend.
Yeah.
Everyone I don't like or I have nothing in common, yeah, I can sleep with them. I don't mind that.
Yeah. There's this blue pill thing that there's this, and it's sex or no sex, and that's what they're always going for. And what the original thing was, making yourself happy. And there's a lot more to life than that. So we start filtering down, and we give levels and sub levels of happiness. But in the blue pill world, they always put that female right at the top, of the triangle. It's like a food triangle, and at the top of the triangle is female. In Mgtow, we can move that female down to maybe the third section or the fourth section and say, that's her more realistic place in your life. And making yourself happy, entertaining yourself, and being able to just move effortlessly through life happily, without irritating a lot of people, without getting into those situations that are tense, provide tension and stress for yourself.
Yeah.
Putting that woman on the top of that's where the tension begins. I think that's where the tension begins. And that's what we're saying here in Mgtow is move the female down from the top section of the food chain, or the food triangle, and put her somewhere around the third or fourth, and just, do it that way. And,
third or fourth, man. I mean, we're men. To be fair, we know that we have one priority. Our priorities are simple. You have that one goal that you want to achieve at this point in your life, and then you have food to take care of, like eat, shit, sleep, go work out if you like that, or go and entertain yourself in a certain way. And then, if women and stuff like that, you want that, just invite them in, man. Just go and get them. And the thing is, that's actually your Roland put it as mental point of origin and all that. And I think that's achievable from the Mgtow point of view. I don't think that's achievable from the PUA point of view unless you're reading certain people, because once you're differentiating between men, once you stop showing men respect in a way, this alpha and beta mentality that they do, and if you explain, if you give a disclaimer to people that I'm talking about how women view men, and women do view men as alpha and beta in their minds, they do. I would fuck him, I wouldn't fuck him. That's how they see it, and we do the same in a way, right? But by dividing men in that way, when you're interacting with other men, then you're promoting a kind of, and we do the same in Mgtow with blue pill and red pill, right? You're promoting a kind of adversary reaction that you're going to have as a man towards that person. So you're going to see that person as lesser than you because he's beta in your mind, or he's not red pill aware. And you need to respect other men, and that's how you get far in life, I think. Show respect to people that deserve your respect. Be careful, contain things for yourself, be secure with yourself, and just enjoy it. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah, you don't always have to go into some of the things in my early development around 1920. Like you said, there was always this tournament mating strategies, and tournament mating is you're always competing with your buddy and everything, but after a while in life, you lose that, and you have a core group of friends that you go around. I don't know what your interests are. My interests sometimes are football on Sunday, in baseball during the week, and I like to watch the games and do
Is
men
it
stuff.
American football?
Yeah, American football, and we develop a group of men, and there's no women in that group. It's just like MGTOW to a certain point, but you're going to have blue pill friends, and you're going to have the guy that tries to sneak the woman into the group, and then you see automatically what happens when that happens. You bring a woman into a football game, and it's not the same football. You're not throwing things at the TV. You're not using the F word or acting. Automatically, those things change. But you do have this core group of friends that you get over that tournament mating thing with. It becomes more of a just peaceful. This is what we like to do, and this is what we're going to do. Some guys, watch football. It's just an example. Some guys like to work on cars in their backyard. Some guys, like to go places or go to the amusement parks. There's a lot of things to do that we don't add women into those things, but a lot of the blue pill is that wrong approach to kicking, like you said before. There's this jumping over your buddy to get to the woman thing, and that's when it becomes destructive and harmful. If you're going through your buddy to get to this next piece of ass, boy, that shows a lot about your character, and we usually exclude those men from the group.
Well, you should. Look, to be fair, back in the day, and that's the problem with the mentality and the people that you read, and not being kind of secure in yourself. So, for example, back in the day, I wouldn't even think twice to fuck a girl that someone told me that I shouldn't fuck. I really wouldn't give two shits. Right, I wouldn't care whether she was dating someone. I wouldn't show that man any respect, because I would think that if she cheats on me, then their relationship is not as good. So I'm just doing that guy a favor, which is not. I shouldn't be blamed, or I shouldn't really promote this type of behavior. Right, that's how I see it right now, and. It's not because I want people to stay in blue pill state, and to be fair, thinking that maybe screwing someone's girlfriend and then giving him a card, this is Mgtow, would be a good way to push the Mgtow message along. I know he would never be subscribed to me, but it would be a quite effective way to do it. But I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it not because I wouldn't feel just as good as when I did it in the past, but I just don't want to hurt other men. I don't want to be the reason that man is hurt. And I know that woman will go and fuck someone else. That woman is just looking for dick, and she'll find some dick. But yeah, I just don't want to do it.
Yeah, I'm sure that Mgtow can't be exclusively people that have been hurt in some way, and nor I don't think should we be aiming for that, really.
Yeah, I agree.
It would be better if there was good, if there was good content, if there was good message that was just a sort of better way to get along, that people sort of voluntarily opted into without already needing to have been screwed over in some way. It's not the reality that we have now, but for the most part. But that little idealist in me wants that to be true.
But to be fair, I mean, I say about certain things that went wrong in my life and shit like that, but realistically, I've never really been hurt from a woman. I've never been cheated on, as far as I know. I cheated on a girl. She knew about it, still wanted to stay with me. I really didn't go through some horrible experiences with women. I really didn't. So I'm not that hurt. I really like the philosophy, and I've been applying the game and all that throughout my 20s. So I've been getting laid. I've been having fun. I just, for me, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Like that's what it was. I was just like, well, so what's the point? What's the point of going through all of this shit just for pussy? Yeah, especially, and for me, I've had enough to just go like, meh. It's not that great.
Yeah.
It doesn't even feel different. And a friend of mine, the friend that I made the video about, he recently had a threesome, and he told me, you know, what I really like, just in my fantasies, I just wanted to have two girls, one next to each other, and I would fuck one of them, and then I would fuck the other one. And I'm like, did the pussy feel any different? Like, nope, the pussy felt exactly the same. So it's that. If you're just aiming for that sexual encounter, it doesn't really make that much sense.
Yeah,
Now,
isn't that more
improving
about
yourself does.
Yeah, isn't that more about bragging rights? And that goes back to when you're around the guys. If you had this great threesome, you have bragging rights, don't you?
You do, you do. I guess so. But I mean, he tells me, I don't care. I'm not impressed.
But that's that's around the guys. That's in a different group. That's in a different group setting without the women, and that's where it's supposed to be. And you have these things you talk about with men. You have these great relationships with your men friends where you're not acting. It's a sort of it's a little bit of a competition to see you can get to that point where you have this great story, but not really, because y'all get along. There's none of that. You're not really competing anymore with each other in that specific group of just male friends that hang around. And there's a real difference there. We often get what we are doing confused with, or what we perceive that we are doing, and our goals with that, sexual conquest with, actual life.
Yeah, and I find that, I don't know what your experiences are, guys. I mean, I find that for some of my friends, if I want to get them to understand that this is really my choice, I occasionally have to prove myself to them. So for example, I would have to hit on a girl, I would have to get a girl every now and then to just prove to them that, it's just sex. It's not, because people don't get it. People don't get it.
This is a problem about building a reputation, right? And I think this is where a lot of us have fallen down in the past, where if your reputation and how people think of you is based in relationship to getting pussy, when you aren't getting the pussy, your reputation takes a hit. And if your reputation is built on something else, like trading cars or something, and you happen to get pussy, then when the sex life changes, your reputation is still intact.
So I do think that, because it's been like over the past 2 years, it's been a huge shift in how I did things. Like I would be in pussy, all the time, and I just stopped because I didn't see the point in it. I didn't go full monk. I still like women. I still sleep with women. I just do it at my own pace. I don't do it because I have to do it. Because I don't feel like I have to do it. So
did you see when Roosh went off to, I think it was like Yugoslavia or the Czech Republic or somewhere, and he made this apologetic video where he sort of apologized to everyone for letting him down because he spent a month there and he didn't pull once.
Yes. Do you see what I mean? That's the thing. That's the if people think of you as a PUA, right? You need to fuck, otherwise you're not a PUA.
Or lie.
Yeah, exactly. So the whole aim of a PUA, it is to fuck. It truly is, and that's why I invited Rollo, because he's not really a PUA. He comes from that community, but he doesn't go out and fuck other women. He doesn't do any of that stuff. He gives advice. His advice is sound. His observations of female nature is sound because he took the time, because he didn't have to go and party all the fucking time or go out all the fucking time, to do observations, to see what other people were telling him, to observe the animal, read around the animal, and understand how the animal behaves, and the animal being the female. So that's why I like him a lot more than anyone else from that part of the community. And he says so himself. I'm not an MRA, I'm not a PUA, I'm not a Mgtow. I'm just a guy who talks about shit. That's all.
We're back to the philosophical exploration. It's a great way to look at PUA. If you're a Mgtow, you're just exploring the the life you're living in. You're reaching out and being the observer, and we hear that a lot now. We're the observers now. We can we just observe what's going on, try to take that in, apply it to a better life situation. I could use this here, I can use this here, and boom, things magically start falling together better in your life.
They do. It's so weird. Yeah, you're basically not doing anything. Well, you are doing some extra things. You're putting some homework, but in a way, you're using half the time of what you were using to go out, get pissed and hit on women, get rejected and accepted, bring one in, send her home, and all of that, which takes so much time. And do that. Just spend some time on yourself. Do what you enjoy, and just have a good time. Camera messenger.
Hey, messenger.
Hello, messenger.
Turn your
nice
camera
curtains.
on. Yeah, brilliant.
Okay.
Do you like them?
Yeah. Where do I get some?
Oh, I don't know. They were here when I moved in.
Messenger, life hacking. What do you get out of PUA, if anything? Can you because do you remember when we first spoke? You were talking about this woman who was in her 40s, looking to find herself a nice man, and it was like you had awakened to the point where even the proposition was laughable, and you made this hilarious video about it.
I remember that video.
Yeah. You know, chasing women is something I gave up on a long time ago. The last relationship I had was, well, it finished well over a year ago now, badly. And I was with her for 4 years. So the last time I really actively chased women was probably about 5 years ago. And I didn't really chase women. I just used to end up back at theirs, or they would come back to mine. So I never really read about game or understood the concept of game or any of that. It was just a case of, I'm going to go out, I'm going to get laid, if I don't get too drunk. For me, honestly, for me, and maybe this ties in with the PUA thing, I don't know, but honestly for me, I didn't give a fuck about the women. Firstly, I wanted to enjoy my friends' company, and I wanted to get drunk because I worked hard and I wanted to play hard. And maybe women picked up on that and thought, well, you know, there's a half decent looking guy over there who can just about stand up. She hasn't found anyone else by the end of the night, so you know, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, just being honest, game and all that sort of stuff, and that crazy woman. Really, I was doing that older woman. What I was doing what a lot of Mgtow do, just reaffirming our assumption that women are pretty much, you know, written off nowadays. And she just confirmed everything I thought. She was playing stupid games and talking to other men, and I lost interest pretty quickly. And after that, I thought, well, I'm just going to fuck her about now, because she's treating men like shit and using men. And I thought I'd string her along for a bit and then just drop her. You know, just drop her like a sack of shit and just say, oh, you know, I'm bored of you. So that's what happened with her. And since then, yeah, it's like Nico says, I just listened in for a bit. You know, you just you lose interest. And it's not old age. It's not old age. I mean, I would if they weren't so dangerous nowadays. But yeah, it's just not worth the risk. It doesn't pay off.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, speaking of things we do that makes us happy, does anybody have what entertainment in your life do you provide? Do you have hobbies? Do we have hobbies that we do? I know I have some hobbies that I do in my garage and around and with friends.
I've perfected the helicopter deck. I can do that perfectly now.
You can do the helicopter deck.
Have you lifted yourself off the ground yet?
Yeah, I've been practicing.
Yeah. You have to get a wet towel, don't you, and put it on your dick. Lift it up and down a few times.
That'd make a great video.
It does. You just put a hat.
You could play the Rocky theme tune as well in the background,
Yeah.
couldn't
Dun, 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 dun.
you? Showing
Dun,
instruments.
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Did you ever buy that Lego set that you were looking at?
No, because I wanna move into the new place, which I'll be moving in fairly soon, and then, to be fair, because I had to travel back home, and we don't say where. Good.
Okay.
Right. So I had to travel back home twice this month, and it cost me over £1,000 or so. I'm waiting to move home, to move to the new place, and then just gather up some cash, which is not gonna take very long. So by the next month, I would expect that Lego set would be in my flat, and I'll be building it. That will be a fun 2 weekends and a half. And I'm also planning a threesome with my new flatmate. It's one of those, oh God, I don't know how to explain this. It's one of the tenets of me moving in. I promised him a threesome. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a place to stay. I'm like, sure, okay. So
Take one for the team.
I'll take one for the team, yeah.
Take one for the team? Okay. Right.
I'll tell you a threesome story, actually.
Oh, God, go.
Me and a friend of mine, years ago, how long ago was this? My daughter was 4, so 7 years ago. 3 of us lived in the same house, and 2 of us decided to ring a girl who had some potential a few years before, and we thought, okay, you know, we'd seen her in the pub, we'll ring her up, get her round. So we rung this girl or texted her and said, you know, you want to come round? And she said, what for? And we said, well, what do you think? You know? And she said, okay. And I said to him, wow, I think she's coming round, you know? And she did. A taxi pulled up, and we heard the clip-clop, the high heels coming up the drive. And I think until about 5 in the morning, we just took turns, you know, swapped ends and did all that sort of stuff. And I mean, we were laughing so much. I mean, we took turns at getting hard-ons because I couldn't physically do it with him in the room. I kept looking at his face and saying, you know, stop looking at me. You know, stop making eye contact. You're putting me off. So in the end, we managed to achieve the full spit roast. And by then, we were laughing. And it's like Joe says, this was going to make a great story to tell everyone else.
Yeah.
So I'm giving her one from behind, and he's at the other end. And then I felt this hand on my bollocks, on my nutsack, tickling it, and I thought, oh, that's going to help me along, you know.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and I looked down, and it was his fucking hand. And I looked at him, and he looked over his shoulder, and he said, is that nice, is it? I said, you fucker. You know, game over. Game over. Yeah. It made a good story. Yeah.
What is that great movie about? He says, I can't remember the actor. He says, you know, that threesome thing is fun the first time, but, you know, the second and third time, it's just kind of gay.
Yeah, it throws you off when you can see your friend in the same room with a fully erect penis. You think, no, this is I can't. You know.
Yeah, it's like walking in on the dog when he's humping, you know, the stuffed animal, and he's giving you that look. It's like, oh, Jesus, stop it, dog.
Yeah. And he's looking at you saying, you know, I'm busy. You know,
yeah.
Come back in 10 minutes.
Yeah, man, my friend just wants to do the Eiffel Tower with me. That's it. That's the whole aim of this.
Eiffel Tower. What is?
You don't know the Eiffel Tower, so it's like the spit roast with both of your hands touching over her. You're like creating an Eiffel Tower-like structure with the woman in between. So that's it. That's all.
I can only imagine.
I expect that's all there is to it. We'll find out. If he touches my balls, man.
That would make a great avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Eiffel Tower. Yeah. I was married for a long time, so marriage is so restrictive of threesomes.
Is it?
Yes.
I don't see why. Please elaborate.
Yeah, so that was like, oh, geez, you're not into this thing, huh? You know, no, yeah, it is kind of
It's only
restrictive.
restrictive. It's restrictive in threesomes with your partner.
Yeah, both ways it's restrictive. So, you know, I didn't experience that till I was in my late 40s. You know, having a threesome. That was one of my goals when I got out of it. I was like, okay, this is a this is a goal in life. Wrote it down on my little book of goals in life.
Man, I've never had a threesome with two women. Like, I never did. And it's not for lack of opportunity, it just freaked me the fuck out. And it wasn't the act that freaked me out. I could always imagine the conversations afterwards. Right? Like two people. Two people was just always too much for me. That's in my head. It just, I don't know. I think I've grown.
For hours.
Well, no, it's not that, man.
Cuddling and talking shit for hours afterwards. Like, oh, damn it.
Exactly,
One woman takes up an hour.
I was like, I can't handle this shit. And I think I've grown as a person. I can definitely do it now because I would just walk out.
Right. Yeah. The ultimate find is if she's half lesbian, half straight, and then she brings a girlfriend around. That is like the ultimate Walt there. You know, isn't it the sexual Walt? If she's lesbian.
Bisexual. To this day, I still think that most women are bisexual. My female friends keep telling me that I'm wrong on this, but I don't believe them for most things. So why should I believe them for this?
Yeah. What do they know?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my. Okay. You know, so we do find happiness in a lot of things. You know, other than you know, girls. You get together with the guys, and this stuff is just great to talk about, and it's fun to do that. But there's, you know, like I always say, there's you know, 23 and a half other hours to the day.
Well, I think a lot of people honestly get a lot of entertainment out of getting into fights and combat. You know, we see it as drama on the internet because there's this physical restriction. But before the show, I was talking to you, Joe, and, about the friendships that I formed in school were either with people I bonded with without combat, or people I got into fist fights with that then later on developed into friendships. Yeah. You know, whereas the guys that I just, you know, stay clear of or stay clear of me, our paths continue to diverge, you know, for the rest of our lives. I couldn't pick them out of the lineup now.
Yeah, it's like a testing ground, you know, between men. If they can't communicate verbally, then they have to challenge each other and gauge, you know, the pecking order by, you know, beating the crap out of each other. Once that's done, you don't have to do that again, you know. And then you tend to find your differences, you know, you bury the hatchet then, and then you're free to be friends and get on with it. That's a very old concept. Do you remember it used to be, okay, well, after school, and it was quite civilized for kids, for teenagers, you know, after school, and everyone would form a ring, and there would be like a referee, right, these are the rules, you know, if he goes down, don't kick him in the head, and all that sort of stuff. So it was quite a civilized way of working out differences between men, and then when it was done, there would be like a handshake or not, depending if there was still bad feeling, but at least it was done, you know, at least it got resolved one way or another.
Yeah, no biting, no nut shots, you know. Don't say shit about my mum afterwards, this sort of thing, right?
Yeah. That male body language, is that just male body language? Because sometimes when we're young, we are limited in our communications and our abilities to articulate to other males. And a friend of mine always had a great line, and he said, men are limited. We lost our tails, so we can't wag our tails and show each other how friendly we are.
Yeah. Well, it's like the on the Tom Golden thing about, you know, men being shoulder to shoulder, because the face-to-face thing is like a standoff. And you'll know, you've been to prison, haven't you, Joe?
Yeah, for a short period of time there. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the first things people say is, don't make eye contact, and you find yourself thinking, yeah, I better not, because if you make eye contact without speaking to someone, it's just immediately seen as a
Aggressive.
challenge.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
aggressive.
aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the way we do things in the male world. You can you hear it all the time. Are you eyeballing me, son? Why are you eyeballing me?
yeah,
It's perceived as aggressive.
yeah, yeah. That's the first perception. They say, "What's your problem?" Have you got a problem? And you think, "No, I just glanced in that direction and happened to catch your eye." Yeah, and if there's alcohol involved, then it gets out of hand.
Well, it's because we are competitive in a way. There is a competition between men,
Right.
and if there is no common understanding or any common sense of any community between two guys, yes,
Right.
and we do it all the time. Even in Mgtow, we do it all the time.
Right. We do from the time we're just young kids. We do sorting. We sort our friends. I'm allowed to pick my own friends. If that's one of the things in life that's I'm free to do at any moment is pick my own friend. I don't want friends pushed on me, but you get around a common group of guys that have ethics and morals, and then you sort other guys. All your friends end up resembling you, or your friend, or his friend, or whoever's in the group. There's a common core of values, ethics, the way we look, the way we act, the way we perceive life, and if we're sorting other men to grow the group, but it's got to be within these exclusive confines, because we kind of know, nothing else is going to work. If we got a guy that's too blue pill, we talked about this earlier, and he comes out and he starts jumping over the friends and bringing girls around, that's going to destroy the group.
I think who was it? Jack Donovan. I read one of his books. Okay, he's not brilliant, but some of the things that he said was kind of like men want to form gangs in a way, and that's what friendship groups like their size informs the size of the gang in a way. You get a couple of people who are stable within the group, and then they invite more friends, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. But you can't just do it all the time. There is a certain rule, certain understanding, common understanding, and all that. And in a way, Mgtow, it's a bigger gang.
Yeah, you want to know that the next guy the next guy is going to toe the rope, and you want to know he's got your back, and that's always a common core with men. You got my back,
Hello,
Yeah.
Eric.
And a common bond as well. Men need to have a common bond. Even if they're from diverse backgrounds, they can still get along if they've got that one thing in common.
Yeah. That's why we do sorting, so you can figure out that guys, because there are guys out there that are just as destructive as women, aren't there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it as much as we should in Mgtow. We talk about the good things about men, and there are many, many, many bad things about men as well.
Oh yeah. We talk about the simping and the white knighting, but we kind of minimalize that, don't we? Like you said.
Yeah, because we're looking for men. We're looking to grow our gang.
Yeah.
And there's enough people out there who are quite willing to say all the bad shit about men. It's not like that
Right,
particular
yeah.
viewpoint needs bolstering.
Yeah, there's no shortage of that in the press and the media.
Yeah, we can come across as being quite biased, but the fact of the matter is we're a men's group, or however you want to term it, talking about men's issues. So we are going to come across as being biased. That's just the way it is, We could sit on the fence and be impartial, but then we'd just be discussing issues from both sides, and
Right.
that's why we speak about men's issues, because nobody else does. You know,
let's
and a lot of people,
let's look at
they
it
want
from
to, don't they?
from that angle. You know, this is an exclusive group. We do exclude people. We do exclude blue pills, simps, manginas, and we often get that thrown back at us that we're misogynist, we're sexist or whatever. You know, so that's just another one of my names. But you know, we are exclusive of men. You got to have a certain attitude to come in here. But I see that under attack a little bit, that we should be more inclusive of all men. And,
oh yeah, but then we'd be jumping on the feminist bandwagon of calling men out for their bad behaviour. We know men aren't perfect. We aren't perfect. I'm not perfect. But there's plenty of people who've told me that over the years. But no one's ever called women out for the things they've done. So, you know, that is the topic of conversation. So if people don't like it, well, you know, fuck off. I mean, we're not talking about that. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, if you're going to a baseball game and you want to play soccer, that's not going to work. Here is Mgtow. This is what we do, and here we're Mgtow, and the rest of the world can go play games otherwhere. You know, there's a lot of ballparks out there. Go find your special ballpark, but they're trying to force us into being inclusive of their group.
I personally believe we don't have enough women in the group.
We are crossing ways. That's enough, surely.
Yeah, easy, woman.
You got about 50 guys out there that just rose one eyebrow.
And the question is, do women have valuable things to offer to the conversation?
No.
No.
I will say yes. There are valuable women that we can talk to. C.S. Mgtow invited someone that talked about surrogacy. That's quite valuable. That's her area of expertise. Now, you can have people as guests, but I don't think discussing male issues with regards to them helps very much. But you can discuss other issues.
Specific subjects, yeah. The general conversation, they need to know when to butt out. Like Diana Davidson, butt out. You know, she's got an opinion on everything to do with Mgtow. Not interested. Not interested in what you think. You're not a man. You didn't grow up as a man. Let the men talk. You know, wait outside. That's my opinion about women. But if it is a specific subject that a woman who is an expert on the subject can deal with, and only she can deal with, like you say, surrogacy, then that's a different conversation. She's not part of the Mgtow conversation. She doesn't then become accepted into all hangouts and all comments threads. We've got to be strict.
Well, to be fair, I think in Mgtow hangouts such as this hangout, we're having Mgtow. I mean, the first problem, I mean, I even said it sarcastically to Diana in my response video. Thank God the M stands for something, you know? We need them at least to be men, and then we want them to be red pill, and we want them to be Mgtow. I mean, there's a certain exclusivity to it.
Are we talking about something like Mgtow cheerleaders? You know?
What's the problem? I mean, no. Cheerleaders, they can exist. I don't really like them on my channel. I'm actually doing very well. I only have 3.5% of females, and it's strange that only in Mgtow would people be happy to have less women. Right? There is a competition of as low as a percentage as you can have in women as possible, and that's the competition in a way, isn't it? I'm doing very well, 3.5, very proud of it.
It depends on what they're cheering too. If they're cheering "Go men are cocks," you know, that's not a Mgtow cheerleader, you know.
Yeah, but they can cheer from a distance, like they've done before. I don't know why they need to be included in our hangouts. So you want to talk to her in your own space. I mean, you can talk to women, like I talk to women all the time, you know, in my everyday life. Why the fuck do I need to bring them into a hangout?
Yeah. Yeah, the pundit issue. You know, if they're a pundit on something, personally, I'd like to bring in a prostitute.
Fuck, Shining is winning. Sorry. He has 1.1% women subs.
Oh,
What?
Fucking
damn it.
hell. For fuck's sake.
Right, just
We
very
need to
quick.
start.
We were looking at the percentage of male to female subs the other day, and
Let me
mine
see
was
what I
higher than Nico's.
Yeah.
I think mine's over 5%, and I realised that I think it was Romania. 20% of subs from Romania were female, which made the difference. I don't know who they are. I've never noticed them before, but yeah, 20%.
I never endorsed my channel. I regret it because I remember when I did something with Dark Knight, and he was always complaining about how many women were on his channel. And then I started getting women, and I went up to like 4.2%, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? And I started banning people just to make them go away. Because the conversation was being shifted. I mean, there are women I've noticed that make good comments. I remember at least 2 good comments that women have made in the 160 videos that I've made.
Yeah.
But it's a good percentage.
I made a video on Nofap, and there was this woman, sex therapist or something, who shared my video on Twitter.
Oh my god.
So it got a bunch more views.
Okay.
What were the analytics like afterwards?
Yeah, I don't know. But I've
Did
got
they
like
downvote it or upvote it?
Yeah, it was. They liked it a lot, I think.
Because you weren't masturbating?
No, it's just like I'm talking about sort of how it affects the brain, you know.
I don't think it affects the brain in any way. We need to have this discussion.
Oh, come on, it must do.
Have the conversation now. I'm interested because I'm never going to give up wanking. So
Yeah, let's go there.
Well, basically, it desensitizes, you know, the dopamine reward circuitry. So the more you do it, the less and less pleasure you get from it, and the more extreme stimuli you have to, you know.
I agree, but that's why I want to do it in a way. Let me tell you this, right? So back when I was doing the Nofap thing, I could take a lot more shit from women, a lot more shit, and it was at the time when I was talking to that girl and she was insane. And I just went like, it's a shit test, it's fine. I would jizz like cream pies you've never seen, man. Right? It was just remarkable, and the sex felt so much better. But I could feel myself getting that much more attracted to a woman, and I knew that I only had sex like during those 49 days like 5 times maybe. But compared to how I normally had sex, like, man, it was really difficult. And I'm talking five times as in 5 ejaculations, not 5.
Okay.
But it was.
There's
it
also
really
something
affects
called,
you.
hypofrontality. It's like impaired decision making and
Yeah.
less gray matter and whatever. That's the same thing too.
Yeah, but that's what happens to you when you don't do it. Like, if you feel like doing it, it means you need to get some pleasure. Then you, for me, when I went depressed initially, so I was detoxing from fucking wanking, which is depressing to think about it. So I detoxed, and then after that, I just got overly sexual. Like, I would press my penis against things. And under like, how many was it? 5 days, 6 days, I had a wet dream, which was sad because it only took 5 days. And
But
then it kind of
there
like
is this
tailored off.
quite good site, like it's called yourbrainonporn.com. It does a lot of research, like, but it's basically like any other addiction, sort of.
Yeah, it is an addiction. Of course, it's an
I've got a
addiction.
question for you, Nico. Now, what you said, I mean, it's just made me think. Masturbation really is like a release, yeah?
Yeah.
So could you compare it to self-harming? I know that's a big jump, but I met people who self-harmed, who cut, and they said it's a release, you know. So it just becomes
so.
a form of, I need to do this, because if I don't,
You become sort of,
I'm
as I
stressed.
know myself,
But
is sort of you
the
get
the
sensitized from other pleasures also.
yeah, but it varies, man. I mean, how many times does a guy feel like having sex in a regular day? So if you want to have sex once or twice in a regular day and instead you wank off once or twice, it's not really a problem. It becomes a problem when you're actually doing it so many times during the day. At that point, you're addicted. Your dick bleeds and all these things. And you go and seek for sex. It's basically another form of sexual addiction. And when
It's
it
an
gets
addiction.
there, you're not getting any pleasure.
But like the people who cut themselves, they get pleasure from that. They get a strange sort of release.
It's an endorphin. Yeah, it's an endorphin. When you cut yourself, you feel good afterwards. Like the pain is still there, but you feel endorphins. Endorphins are like opiates in their structure. So you feel that feel good factor that morphine, for example, would give to you.
Like tattoo. Who's had
Yeah.
Some people, I like having tattoos. I've got a few. I'm not addicted to them, but I enjoy it. You know, it's not. It's painful, but it's not. It's pleasurable at the same time. It's borderline.
There's also a lot of guys who get this problem, like porn-induced erectile dysfunction. So it's because, you know, the brain, sort of the behavior, gets used to sexuality being expressed in front of the computer instead with real women.
I have a solution for that. Fuck like porn. I mean,
who saw No No No's video? Well, he watched a video and he made a comment, so it came into my feed. Who saw that video about the porn actresses and the truth behind the porn industry?
Oh yeah, I've watched that video.
Yeah, those anal scenes where the guy withdraws and she shits all over him, and also when they're on their period, they put like a makeup sponge
Come on.
up their minge. Yeah, and some of them forget, don't ask me why, because they're female, that's why. They forget it's up there and it stays up there for days, and they do another scene and it smells like a decomposing body.
Okay.
And a lot of these men cannot fucking fuck them. So porn, I see it in a different light now. It's nice and glossy like Baywatch. But the reality is there's a lot of shit and a lot of smells involved.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, now you probably changed my. I had a septic patient once who got septic because she put a sponge up her vagina because she was on her period. And I was like, "What the fuck did you put a sponge on up your vagina?" And she told me that maybe she ran out of tampons. And I thought that was a strange thing. Just walk to the fucking nearest supermarket, right? And just buy some. Now you've just kind of like ruined that thing that I had in my head, man.
She can get some cotton wool and just roll her own, you know.
Jesus.
But it's like, from what I've heard, it's like guys who go to this Nofap, if it's guys who have grown up with this high-speed internet porn, then they're going to, if they get addicted to it, it's a very long time for them to recover, you know, to get back into normal sex, you know.
Let me tell you this, right? As soon as I finished the Nofap thing, I got almost injuries on my penis by the sheer number of times that I was doing it, right? Like, in all honesty, I'm not lying here. It just felt so fucking good compared to how it felt before.
Okay.
And it goes back to the ancient Greeks. Just do everything in fucking moderation.
Moderation, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
Moderation
overdo
is
it.
best.
Well, what's healthy and what's not healthy? We've seen an example of this in this morning. Horsey Mgtow made a video about a specific individual that was into the BDSM, and the discussion from there was that healthy? Is that not healthy? Should we allow this? Should we not allow this? And one of the points was he had a relationship that he still in his head wanted to dominate that woman.
Mm.
And so there's this thing there. Well, what crosses that border of healthy and unhealthy? Or is that a floating bar?
No, man, it's very simple. If there is two consenting adults and both of them are having fun, then there is nothing wrong or right about it, as long as no one's cutting genitals. I mean, that's kind of how I see it. I like kind of like BDSM stuff, but I never really thought about BDSM until kind of like 50 Shades of Grey came into the picture, and I was like, oh, I kind of like fuck like this anyway.
Isn't the need to dominate someone, isn't that just a sign of your own insecurities? You know, like an abuser. You know, they do it to make someone feel small because they themselves have massive insecurities about themselves.
But you don't do it like that, man. You don't do it like that, and I can actually explain the thinking about it. BDSM, in a way, it's the man being dominant, and in a way, if you're on the top as a man, you're already dominating, right? You are already dominating. Whoever's on the top is dominating. To be fair, there are certain people who don't enjoy it, other people who like to be dominated. Personally, the way that I learned how to have sex and the way that sex has been imprinted in my head, I like it to be slightly rough. Like, I might tie a girl up, but that's as far as... Okay, I would spank, and I remember I spanked a girl so much she bruised. But I don't do it out of vengeance. I don't do it out of anger. I don't... And I always check with the girl, like, do you want me to stop? Do you want me to continue? There are safe words involved and all that.
Right.
Yeah, there's always safety into the picture, and it's kind of like acting a role, in a way. And then you just resume your life. In a way, I like to be in control of my entire life. I try to, but of course in regular life I'm a lot calmer compared to how I am during sexual acts. And I don't think there is a right or wrong thing about this.
Some women ask for that. You know, I've been with women before and they say, you know, I wish you'd just come home from work, not wash, leave your fucking work clothes on, throw her on the bed and fuck her brains out. You know, stick your dick in her mouth and just treat her like a fucking, you know, a bitch, you know.
Yeah.
And they want that. They want you to...
Yeah.
There's been times, you know, I thought... I had a girlfriend. And she was cool, you know, but we just... It lasted a couple of years and we were never going to go anywhere. But I can remember once walking past the bathroom and she was brushing her teeth. And she had French knickers on, and she was bent over the sink, and the motion of her brushing her teeth, making her arse cheeks jiggle. And I walked past, and I caught this in my peripheral vision. And I walked past the door, I thought, I'm going to be late for work, and I thought, I don't fucking care. And I backed up, and I did a double take, and I looked, and I just had to, I walked in, I pulled her fucking French knickers down, and I did her over the sink. And I went straight to work. And I came home that night. I forgot that had happened, you know. She was like that. We were like that, you know. I forgot it happened. And she went, do you know what? I wish you'd do that more often.
Yeah.
You know, just fucking take them.
Yeah, but that's what, in my relationships, past relationships and stuff like that, and I don't say this very often, I would sleep with a girl in my bed, and I would have sex with her. Like, when I would wake up, I would have sex with her without her waking up. I would just move her legs open, and I would just go in, and she would wake up, and we'll just continue, would finish, and then I would go to work. And it didn't really matter. And it was kind of like an unspoken agreement, and she actually told me, whenever you want to, just, you know, use me. And they want to feel that, and they want to feel like you're dominating them in a way. And I know rape laws and all this shit, and you shouldn't do it without discussing this with a girl first or whatever. But in my experience so far, and this was happening before I had any idea about all this shit that we talk about in Mgtow. In my experience so far, it was just do what you feel is right, and if there is two consenting adults,
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it.
If she wakes you up with a blowjob, you think, well, fuck me, that's the best alarm clock I've ever had, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Every morning, 5:30, you know?
Yeah.
Feel free, but, yeah. Yeah, I mean, does that constitute rape if you just go about your business before she's woken up? If she's agreed that she likes it, then there you go. Like you say, it's two consenting adults.
Yeah.
It would do. It would do.
Back
Right?
to the
If she was to complain, yes, it would constitute rape. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like you get very used to. So some guys apparently, if they use porn too much, it becomes like everything else in their lives becomes less enjoyable. Like you get desensitized to everything, and it's almost like you numbing yourself also emotionally, and you get less motivation, and you start, yeah, you get basically less enjoyment out of ordinary life things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I know variety is the spice of life, I think, and the problem with looking at the role of masturbation and what effect it has on your long-term health is that you're constantly focusing on masturbation. How much am I doing? Is it affecting my work? Is it affecting my hobbies? Is it affecting my friendships? Right? And if you just go, fuck it, I'm horny, I'll have a wank, and then go and do those things, life just works out better, I think.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, man. I get what Reflections is saying here. I really understand what he's saying. It's if you do overdo it, and I remember at some point, and to be fair, I did this when I was having sex with a lot more women. Like I would build up. I would have sex with a girl, and then I would also watch porn. And I even had, I even got blowjobs while I was watching porn. I did that. But the thing is, if you do it so much, you have to step up the intensity of what you're watching, because it just doesn't do it for you anymore. And that's why you need to have an understanding that you need to have everything in moderation.
For me, it's like you're gathering all this masculine energy in yourself, so you can use it like for your work, or if you're creative, you can put it into creativity. It's like sometimes I feel like, why should you waste your energy on a woman? It's almost like that sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
like you could use it for something more meaningful.
Define energy. Right. To be fair, when I was doing it and girls were flirting with me at work, I was thinking, can I fuck her, or on an empty bed? Can I do that? And thoughts like that never crossed my mind.
To give an example, like if I'm writing down some ideas, it's like my thoughts are much clearer, and it goes way faster, and I get more into it, sort of like. And life just seems more enjoyable, and I feel more emotions, and I have more motivation, and
Why is that necessarily good, though?
Well, well, if you want to build, something like career or I don't know.
What I'm saying right now is
intellectual excellence or whatever, yeah.
But you want to be self-actualized, don't you? I mean,
no.
Why wouldn't you want to be that?
What I said is, for me, the way that I behaved with regards to this, and maybe my libido is slightly more. Who knows? I mean, I think my libido is a lot more than I should have. But my judgment was being compromised. Like, I found myself like flirting with colleagues. I found myself doing things like, and I wasn't even thinking about it. Like, normally I have a conscious understanding of what I'm doing. I know when I start flirting with someone. I know when I try to switch the conversation around. I know when I'm making kind of like dick jokes and all these things, when I turn the conversation sexual and when I'm inappropriate for a certain way. But all of that stuff was happening. It was kind of like I was running on fucking autopilot. And there must be a nice balance, because I don't think abstinence altogether.
You know what it is?
But I'm thinking like guys like
you've got to decide, not your dick. What level of risk you want to take in your life. If your dick is saying, go on, fucking, chatter up. You know, you won't get caught. You know, your dick is deciding who takes the risks.
Yeah.
That's the difference I see, you know, between thinking with the little head and the big head. The big head needs to make the risk-reward decisions, and the little head, you know, when you say it can make a decision, you allow it to make a decision, but you should never let it rule the big head. It's, I know that sounds
Yeah, that's what they
juvenile,
call
but
this hypofrontality also. If you get too much into porn, and I think also too much into women, then actually your decision making will be impaired because you're so addicted. So
it's like a distraction. It's
it
like you
breaks
say,
down your self-control and
yeah.
so
If I'm
Your
reading,
your
I'll get
self-harm
into it.
analogy is really quite pertinent, because if you view the dick as an organ with a lot of a lot of nerves on it, something that you can stimulate, and you say that, you know, the side of your wrist is also similar in a sense, right?
Yeah.
You're constantly, you know, if you're in the literal self-harm of where you take a blade and cut yourself, then you're experiencing some kind of experience. Sorry to be redundant, but you're experiencing something, and
Yeah,
if you're
you're telling
constantly
them.
focusing on, am I experiencing this, or am I trying not to experience this? You know,
Yeah.
then you're avoiding other experiences you could have.
Right, you're telling on yourself, or you're telling on your depth as a person, your ability to entertain yourself, your structure in your life may be off when you're doing those things, aren't you?
Yeah,
and
well, to be
like
fair, that's the
people,
problem with experiments like this. When I did the experiment, I was expecting to find all sorts of negative shit. I found all sorts of negative shit. Other people expect to find all sorts of positive shit. They find all sorts of positive shit. It's you shouldn't be the observer in your own experiment. Like that is the problem with this type of experiments, and I'm pretty sure Reflections will agree with me on this.
yeah, but I think like because some guys, they report like they start to feel like they're a genius or a mastermind because they've gone from like a lot of porn to maybe they let their brain sort of heal, and then they start to like put much more energy into work and exercise and things like meaningful things, and then they start to feel like their life is getting on the right track. And I think maybe also like Tesla and these geniuses, maybe who were like celibate, maybe that's
But
also where they got
how do you know
they
that
got
Tesla
their
was not masturbating in between his Tesla toy?
Oh,
Right?
clearly it was.
How do
I would
you
have been.
know that
well,
that
they
was
didn't have
not
porn then,
part of?
so maybe it wasn't that bad. I don't know.
Let me tell you this, right? People don't know how much addiction, in terms of like the feel-good factors, actually affect a human being. The fact of the matter is, and I actually agree with PUAs when they say this, they say that sex is a need. And the reason, and I'll prove it to you using a mouse experiment. If you use mice and you put those mice, not on sex, but you put those mice to drink morphine water, or give them a choice to eat. If you keep the morphine water there indefinitely, they will starve to death, right? They will fucking starve to death because they will keep on drinking. If you give someone pleasure, and if you had a button, right, and you could either go to work, do something good with your life, or click that button and that will activate the pleasure centers in your brain, you would fucking die, right? And that's
Well,
indiscriminate
actually, they did an extended version of that experiment. It was
experiment.
with mice, and this anthropologist, he built a mouse town, or like a mouse utopia. So there were lots of tunnels where the mice could crawl in, and lots of food and lots of females. The environment was much more stimulating, and they put out the same, heroin, water, or whatever, and there they didn't touch it because the environment was stimulating. So in a way, addiction it's a response to an environment that is not stimulating.
I
So
couldn't agree more.
yeah.
Couldn't agree more. Because
Chip,
if you're stuck in a hole, or if you feel that you're stuck in a hole, then the one of the few needs that you can get is the one that you'll focus on getting, because the the rest sort of feel somehow beyond your capabilities.
So it's both on the
the one
brain
thing
level and the
the one
environment.
thing I disagree with when it comes to PUAs is they let their dick make decisions. And this is one thing I've become aware of. My dick has never given me one piece of good advice.
Oh yeah.
Every time I follow what that little fucker wants to do, it's got me in trouble. It's cost me money, and it's got me in trouble. A whole lot of fucking trouble. So, it's a distraction. It's like reflection says, you could be doing better things. And when you are doing better things, I could be reading, for instance. If I'm reading for like 2 or 3 hours and I think, oh, well, this is really fucking interesting. I need to know about this shit. That little fucker will say, well, you better pull me off. Otherwise, I'm not going to fucking stop nagging you.
Yeah.
And then you go away, you crack one off and you think, right, job done. I'm getting back to my reading. And it's just become a distraction. And whereas now I won't listen to it, I'll just say, right, I'll go and fucking tug one off because I need to. In the past, I would say, all right, I'll go and put a shirt on. I need to have a haircut. I need to go to a club, get a taxi, get all this organised, just to accommodate this nagging fucking dick that wants to, insert itself in a fucking saliva gland that smells of fish. And then I get in trouble because of it. So it's just.
It's like
It's a
paradoxically enough for me. I used to do it like maybe
Yeah.
2 times a day, and now I don't do it as often. Like maybe I don't know, like it's maybe once per month now.
Per month.
Yeah,
Oh wow!
and
Fucking, you're
I
my hero.
noticed that you sort of
Yeah.
build up your self-control level. So it's and if you quit porn also, then those intruding, sexual thoughts, they won't come, and you feel more peaceful and together, at least for me. And it's like you realize, well, I don't need this as much as I thought I did, you know?
To be fair, you must have a much stronger will than me. Like at the time when I was doing it, I would find myself being online and just doing these things and doing the Mgtow stuff and all that. And after a while, I would randomly find myself in a porn website. I wouldn't even know the porn website was open. I was sure I opened it, but the porn website was open. And I had to take myself off the internet, off the fucking internet, in order to control that. Because it became that nagging. Of course, it becomes a lot easier to control afterwards, and afterwards I didn't even think about it. But like there is, if you take away from one addiction, and that's what I want to talk about in a way. If you remove one addiction, there is another addiction that pops up. So as soon as the porn went away, I would find myself texting women. So then I had to fucking switch my fucking phone off in order to avoid getting in even more trouble. And then I would start smoking, I would start eating, and you see, there is there is a whole series of things that you can do. Being in absolute control is impossible.
The way I've been doing it is I meditate a lot, and that's supposed to also help with your self-control and all that.
Yeah.
So I think that helps me. But I've also noticed that it's like some level of replacement also. Like maybe I use dating apps on my phone a bit more.
Yeah,
Like,
I was on Tinder fucking all the time. Like I would be at work and I'll be like, right, it doesn't matter, she's fucking fine, I would sleep with her, right, and just do it, right? And that's.
But it's also, I think, it's like if you have some stress in your life, like work or something is stressing you out really a lot, like you're going to need some form of release from that, whether it's exercise, like eating fast food or porn or whatever. It's like you need something if it's that excess stress. But maybe if you don't have that excess stress so much, it will be easier to cut down on your addictions, because you will feel better. Yeah.
I was at the time I actually had a lot of problems with regards to work, um, a lot, and they were all piling up, and I was finding it very difficult to control my anger. And I would just stay quiet, but I could like see myself kind of like shaking when I was having these meetings with people. And in the end, I just utilized it. I fucking utilized my anger and creativity and got out of the whole thing without having to masturbate. But it did impair my ability to think clearly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we done with wanking?
Yeah, I think that
No.
brings us to the next obvious subject is
I have
addressing.
some thoughts on male
I've run
mother
out of
need.
socks.
Yeah, addressing the addictive personality. You know, we all do that to some extreme, and some of us don't have that at all. There's no addiction at all in our lives, and we can't be influenced. And then some people have things that they can be influenced by, and then some people have things that they can't be influenced by. I like to look at my twin brother. He can quit smoking on a drop of a dime. I can't do that. I can quit drinking at a drop of a dime. He can't do that. We're two different people, but we are twins. We're basically the same person, but there are differences in us, and there's differences in all people. Addressing sexual addiction is very hard for some people. These same people can address drinking or taking drugs or smoking pot or anything very easily. And there's these in the head, in the mind. We covered that a little bit before. Is it your mind, or is it your dick, or is it this, or is it that? There's very, very separate things there. Separate lobes are being used, and different things happen in different addictions. Sex addiction is very much different than an alcohol addiction or a drug addiction or a tobacco addiction. How do we address these addictions when we are so unique?
That is a good question, man. Well,
I mean, I've stuck my neck out about this recently, so why not pick it up?
Go for it.
The thing I always think about is the way that women are constantly on diets, and they monitor they monitor what food goes in. They're as obsessed with their stomachs as we are with our dicks, essentially. I don't see as how it's fundamentally any different. When you say a messenger like my dick has never made a good decision for me. Well, from a woman's point of view, if she's slightly, if she's like a size 14 or above and she's obsessed with it, her stomach's never going to have given her any good advice. It's going to be crying, I need fat, I need sugar, I need all this different stuff, right? And she's going to be fighting with that, right? She's going to be going, no, this is terrible advice. I need to look thin for whatever reason. I have a holiday coming up. I bought this bikini that I don't fit in. All this stuff is self-imposed limitations on behavior. And I think maybe the addiction that we have with porn is a self-imposed form of addressing what is essentially a biological need, right?
Yeah, it is. It is a fucking biological need, and women need to get more fat in their diets than we do. What was it? Recently, over the past 5 days, I've been eating 30 grams of carbohydrates. Only 30.
Okay.
It's fucking impossible. I'm constantly in, I can smell my breath. It smells like fucking ketones. I sweat for no reason. I'm just sitting right now. I did a walk today. I walked for an hour and a half. And that was tiring. And I don't get tired this easily. It really, for me, that's easy. Adjusting my diet is fucking easy. It doesn't matter what I put in my mouth as long as I'm happy. I ate. It doesn't matter what that thing is. So cutting for me the carbohydrates was fucking easy. But other things like porn, for me, that's difficult. The not thinking with my dick part, oh my god, man, it's like the worst thing ever.
It's different priorities, though, isn't it? Like the Powered by Orgasm Barbar series is really good, I found, because it sort of breaks down how so much of what we do as men is dictated by this sort of overarching need to get laid at some point, right? And we see that how we get laid is the way it's expressed to us from a societal level is, well, you behave well, you go to work, you get a job, you pay into the economy. All these things will aid you in this quest of yours to get laid. And the message for women is very different. The message for women is you will learn to be a nice, rounded, and pleasant to be around individual, and a man will come for you, right? It's a totally different thing. So they fight with obesity because they don't want to stand out as being exceptionally against the societal norm that they're given.
But it's like you don't just want the sex for the release, you also want this male mother need thing, right?
Yeah. Well,
Thinking,
the male mother
know,
need.
Yeah,
what
continue.
is it exactly? What is it exactly? What do you think it is?
It's naivety, I reckon. It's the when you're being brought up, you're coddled and looked after by a mother figure who is essentially protecting you from the truth that when you get out into the world, you're going to have to pay for that same treatment. And if nobody makes that explicitly clear, then you carry it forward. You sort of get into your 20s thinking that these sort of feelings are things that you can have that are consequence free, that aren't chargeable services. It's sort of this naive idea that
it leads to enmeshment.
What is it? What is it? Reflections?
Yeah, I scripted a video recently, but I haven't put out the video yet. But it's called "Removing the Need for Male Mother Need," and
I don't think you ever will. I don't think you ever will. Male mother need is exactly that. It's the fact that a lot of men want a woman who is exactly like their mum. They're never going to find that. Yeah. And it's because they can't let go of that mothering experience. And I've seen this lately in a lot of men.
I think of it like this. I think male mother need is the last remains of the blue pill.
Yeah.
Because
what it is, it's the last defense of women. In their mind, she has been pedestalized above all women. And if a lot of men say this to me, I say, when I say all women are evil, because I know what they're capable of, and I use that as my standard. That's my AWOL. All women are capable of this, which is why I abstain 100%. And they say, well, my mum's not like that. And I think, wow, you will say you're not a white knight, but if I said that about your mum, you become a white knight.
You're right.
You become offended on behalf of your mum, and that is male mother need. Male mother need is the fact that they've never cut the apron strings, and they're looking for a replacement.
Every Mgtow's mother is not like that.
Which means no women are like that, because no woman who's had a child is like that. Their sisters aren't like that either. So any woman who's got a brother isn't like that. Their daughters aren't like that. So any child, any female who's got a dad isn't like that. We may as well just throw Mgtow in the dustbin, because not all sisters, mums, or daughters are like that. And that is what male mother need is. Male mother need is, there's a woman I trusted who looked after me once. She did that because you're her child, because you're her son. You're not going to find another woman like that. She's not going to breastfeed you and fucking change your nappy. Your mother did that.
But that's why
Will you listen to my my
go for it, and then I'll go for it after.
Solutions.
Yeah.
So I would define it as a felt sense of unconditional love. You will be loved no matter what you do, and also sort of feeling completely safe and taken care of. Like, nothing wrong is going to come.
But that's the mindset of a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a difference between a boy and a man. and they've got to realize that now they're a man. Nobody's gonna give them unconditional love.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody's
But
gonna
my
clean up
solution,
their mess.
my
we
solution
see?
is that men need to be like more like women, like they need to treat themselves, you know, treat themselves well, love themselves, give themselves that kind of unconditional love. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck, go for a massage or go for, a spa treatment or
What?
buy new clothes,
You
be
say
kind
it
to
better than I
yourself.
do. When I say it, it comes across as the man up message.
I think of it differently. I think of it as seriously, it's the last remnants of the blue pill in your mind. That's all that male mother need is. In a way, what it is that idea that in your head there is a woman out there that you will be with, and she will bring some fairy dust, some magic,
Yeah,
some
some magic.
experience that's beyond belief. And that is the idea of love. And it comes from your mother. It does come from your mother, because your mother was the ideal kind of like, it's the female figure that you have in your head, and she took care of you. She gave you unconditional love. The majority of us had mother like that in a way, and it's the last remnant, it's the last part of the spell that needs to disappear. And I did actually mention this in the last video that I did. In the last video I mentioned it exactly like that, that once you realize all these things, you'll understand that the world will be slightly more cynical, it will be slightly less magical, there will be no fairies in that world, there will be no magic. And if there is no magic, then is life worth living in a way? People do think like this, because it's kind of like the being a child and understanding that there is no Santa Claus. It is just like that. Part of the magic of your magical thinking disappears, and you need to get rid of it. It needs to
But it's a
disappear.
completely non-sexual need. There's nothing
Yeah.
there that your mum did for you that fulfilled your sexual needs.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's completely it's completely different to anything you'd want from a woman who walks past you in a low-cut top and a short skirt.
Mhm.
That's you need that sexual fix. You need her validation to make you feel like a man or whatever. So
But I think,
this is
you
weird though.
want
This is
in
weird
the
though.
sex,
Reflections.
yeah.
This is difficult to understand for me, because if you've got that male mother need and you want that in a woman, but what your mother provided for you wasn't sexual.
Yeah.
You were looking for those same qualities in a woman who you find sexually attractive. So it's almost as if you want someone who's going to be your mum and a woman you can fuck. I mean, you'd need
Yeah.
two women. You'd need the one that cooks and washes your clothes and mothers you, and then you
Tells you
need the
you're
one who can
pretty and
fuck.
handsome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need the one who's a slut, who who you can treat like a
But
fucking blow-up doll.
but I think like it's like when you want sex from a woman, maybe you don't just want the release. You also want, the maybe the intimacy, the closeness, the
No.
feminine energy sort of.
Once I've
Yeah.
released, you know what I want? I want a taxi for her. That's exactly what I want. I don't want them around.
Do
You're
we see
bringing them
these?
to your house?
Do we see these?
It's
These
normally in the
rates?
back alley.
Do we see these rates over exaggerated in single motherhood? The overrepresentation of suicide rates in men that were raised just by single mothers, the overrepresentation of the rates in violence and prison and all that, with men that was just simply raised by a single mother. The single mother, they get enmeshed with their mother, overly enmeshed. It's not healthy. And then we all as normal men, or what, I don't know what normal is, but I consider this group normal. We can spot a young man that's been raised by a single mother by how he acts. He overreacts to the simple implication that his mother might be a whore.
Hmm.
Who wouldn't? Because I mean, look, the guys that are coming in are not not expected to believe that up until the point when they get to Mgtow and we're like, hey, we're a cool bunch of guys, but your mum's a whore. You know, it's a difficult message to get.
That's a difficult
positive
message, right?
from.
Well, we see that
But
in
isn't
the
this like the, you know, Madonna whore sort of, what you call it, distinction? Yeah.
yeah.
Let me throw this out there. Right, this has just come into my head just from what you've said, Joe. But one of the tests at work, and you've probably heard this as well, when you're in a group of men and they're trying to establish dominance, there are plenty of jokes just to see if you can stand it, whether
Right.
you're white or not. And they say, have you got any pictures of your mum's tits? And you say, no. And they say, do you want some? And they're looking, it's an old, but they're looking for a reaction. And they're saying, yeah, you know, I fucked your girlfriend last night. And they're looking for you not to react. You say, oh yeah, well fuck it, you know, she's a slag anyway, it doesn't bother me. But they're looking for you not to react angrily. Yeah, it's a shit test, but from men. About your mum, about your wife, about your girlfriend, or, you know, about, you know, some may even say it about your daughter, which probably would get them a smack in the chops.
Yeah.
But they will, you know, it will get said. So I wonder what that's all about, you know, and that's men on men saying, you know, your mum.
Right. There's dangerous in the work situation, especially. I know there's dangerous situations for some of us that you want to know that the guy next to you is not putting you second. In my trade, electricity, you always go 2 people in the bucket. You always go 2 people into the electrical room, and that's for good reason. And you got to really sort that guy that you're with out. There's 2 kinds of people. People that grab a hold of electricity and people that shy away from it and pull away. Now, you want to know that he's the guy that pulls away from the electricity if he's getting shocked and not grab a hold of it, because that puts you in an immediate danger in a lot of situations, especially work situations. But we can boil this down to just basic living situations in the groups we choose to be around as men. But we automatically spot something unhealthy with men that have been raised by single mothers, by over-enmeshed men, by simping men, white knighting men.
I think they've not been sold the idea that that competition is a normal and expected part of life, right? And what I cite for this is the sort of Call of Duty kind of rage outs where, you know, these kids they've been thrown into competitive environments in these online game lobbies, but because they haven't had any structure to this competition, they just rage out like feral animals, as opposed to, say, a football team would be coached how to form an appropriate response, what level of competition is acceptable, what isn't.
Would you guys say that this male mother need is something unnatural for a man that you need to get rid of, or is it something? Yeah.
Yeah, we put away childish things.
Yeah.
Don't we?
Well, it's a cushion, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like you're incapable of dealing with things, so you revert back to you revert back to the safety of your mother's apron strings. And again, that when I speak like that, people say, "Oh, you're telling me to man up," and I'm thinking, "You're not a child anymore.
But I'm also
nobody's going to look after you."
Oh yeah, there's a difference between man up and you know, get off your mom's tit. Man up man up is them expecting something from you.
If you still feel like you need this, you can just maybe like start to love yourself more and treat yourself kindly, you know.
You won't find it in a woman. I mean, if they're looking for that in a woman, you've got to look at. I mean, I would imagine that from a PUA point of view, asking for a woman to mother you would be extremely unattractive to her. She'd say, "Fuck me," you know. I want a man. I don't want I don't want a fully grown adult child. And you'd probably, I don't know, you'd probably get her to mother you, but you wouldn't get to fuck her. You know, she would see you as being weak, as being immature.
Would you say like needing touch or cuddling or affection, like that type of thing from a woman is also male mother need?
Nah. Do you know what? That's something you get over. Honestly, you do. Once you realize that every touch from a woman is the same as pretty much every sexual encounter. It has a cost. They don't do it because they care about you. I mean, women don't care about men, full stop. They don't. If they cook you a meal, they want something in return. You owe them. You know, they're like a cash register. And your tab is going up and up and up, and everything they do for you, they don't touch you because they're concerned about you. You know, you're more likely to get a man put his hand on your shoulder when you've been hurt badly than any woman. The only woman that would do it is your mum. But you don't live with your mum, you don't sleep with your mum, you're not going to marry your mum. She's your mum. You're her son. She cares about you.
I would say this, right? I would say this, that there is a small disagreement in what you said. I believe that having a woman next to you, that she is in love with you at that point in time, and I'm talking about the female type of love, she would put her arms around you, she would give you a hug and all that. And she would do that, she would totally do that, but she will turn off.
Right.
She would not find you attractive.
Her investment.
Yeah, but she won't find you attractive anymore. And if she ends up doing it one or two more times and she has to in a way, then you will be repulsive towards her. And that's the bitter truth.
Yeah, I think so too.
There's Briffault's law in this thing, isn't there?
It's a service, definitely. You know, the whole emotional connection, intimacy, and stuff like that. It comes with a price tag, and it's only if you can get to the point in a relationship where you've got a competition-free agreement. You've already set the boundaries and so on, and you know what each other is getting out of it. That's the only time really that's sustainable. So, you know, if they're not subscribed to the same ideas, the same values that you have, then you're going to be paying for it, essentially.
You know what that limited amount of emotional support is? It's her saying, I'm going to support you for this limited time because I don't want you to be any weaker than you are at this moment. Because if you become any weaker, you won't be able to provide the things that I expect from you. And then I will drop you. So she's basically saying, stop this. This is uncomfortable. I want you to be a man. It's an empty gesture. If a woman offers you...
We need to understand it like this. A man's investment in a woman is her looks, right? So what you like in a woman is how she looks. Okay, you don't want her to be a slag. Okay, so a bit of character is also there. So you want a woman because of her looks. If she's attractive to you, you will stay there, right? If she doesn't blow up or whatever, and that's why women go and get fat after they get married, right? Oh, yeah. But once that happens, you need to also realize what the investment is that a woman puts in. She's interested in a man with a certain potential, and once weakness shows up, once things go wrong, once she can sense that this man will not reach the potential that she had in her head, they go away. They go away. It's like you finding a girl attractive and
its potential.
Yeah, but she gets her entire body burned in a way. That it's not an equivalent, but she gets burned. You'll stay by her, etc. But after she heals and whatever, you might stop finding her attractive, and most guys will stop finding her attractive afterwards. And that's what's going to happen. Suddenly she changed, and in a way you change as well for that woman. And that's not excusing the way that they behave, but we need to understand that we have different sexual reproductive strategies. Women look for different things, we look for different things, and we shouldn't really put women to the same standards that we put men with regards to certain things. Of course, you expect them to be humane towards you and all that, and people should do that, but they can't help. It's like your boner. You can't help when your boner will go up or whether it won't. It's the same thing with them. They can't help when they find you attractive and when they don't find you attractive.
Yeah, we get this. We see this a lot in feminism, and one of the big issues with them is after they get pregnant and during the pregnancy, there's serious harm that's going to come to their body. They're going to get fat. There's going to be some genital mutilation in there at some point. Stomachs, they're going to get stretch marks, and then after that, you're going to get a shit test. You're going to get a real shit test there, and she's going to ask you, "Do you think I'm pretty?"
No.
Yeah, but we don't think. We don't think they're pretty. We want. It's like, go get in the gym. You know, you give those positive. Those positive answers. You need to start walking. You need to start getting in the gym. You need to cut down on the food because there's no need to eat that much food anymore. But all they want is the same thing from you. Is you're asking them a little comfort, a little understanding, and in the reverse effect of that male mother need, that's what they're asking for.
Yeah.
Well, think of it like this, right? In a previous relationship, I had one of my exes. She asked me, "Would you still love me if I got fat?" And I said, "Of course I would love you. I'm just gonna sleep with other women."
Yeah.
Right? It's just you can't fucking help it. You can't. It's
Right.
not. It's like men, 50-year-old men who show up in the at the GP, and those men have problems getting an erection with their wives, while they're fully capable of getting erections with girlfriends that they have on the side, with porn that they watch on their computer. They don't have a physiological problem. Their brain tells them that this woman is not attractive, therefore you can't get a boner with her.
Right. They're two separate things, aren't they? And women enmesh those things. They see those things at the same, but for a man, it's two separate things. Either she's fuckable or she's not. Do I love you? Yeah, I love a lot of people that aren't attractive in that general sense of love.
But I don't want to sleep with them.
But I don't want to sleep with them. No. I have a girlfriend right now. She got old, and she's just not very attractive now. Do I love her from, we spend a lot of time growing up together? Sure, I do. But I don't want to sleep with her no more. And they don't see the two things as separate.
Yeah, I've got 3 sisters, and one of them I lived with for about a year. And she would ask me things, and she would say, "You're a man," and I would say, "Well, yeah,
I have a penis.
What hasn't been cut off yet? Sure.
But she would get ready to go out, and she would say, "Does my arse look big in this?" And I would say to her, "Now, you're asking the wrong person, because I'm going to tell you yes. Your arse is fucking fat, and lose some weight." She was looking for that complimentary comment from a man. And I said to her, "I'm your brother, I'm going to be honest. Don't ask me those questions." And she was looking for that some sort of approval from me before she went out. And I said, "No, fucking, either your ass is too big or your fucking jeans are too small. But
Right.
you've got to do something about that."
Right,
And she never asked me again.
Being honest is protection too, because if you let your sister go out and she's got a horribly tight pair of jeans on, and her ass
ass is ready to explode.
Yeah, there's going to be other men out there that notice that, and that's the question she's asking. But that's not really the question she's asking. She wants the validation.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty sick, honestly. I mean, I had a similar thing where a cousin of mine I was going out for a birthday with, she said, "Have I got a camel toe?" And I got really annoyed with that, because I'm like, look, we have a relationship. It's a familial relationship. We are a family. This is crossing a boundary, right? I don't sexualize you and vice versa. Don't be asking me if you've got a camel toe, because, like,
Yeah, look in the mirror.
It means you have to check her vagina.
Exactly, right? Yeah, and it's not something I could have said the other way around, is it? Like, I couldn't have rocked up in a pair of leopard skin spandex things and gone, "Is my bulge looking good?" Right? I'd be carted off in a second. So, that's like that's essentially, I hate to use this word, but a privilege women have got. They're able to engage in these sort of conversations about sex with whoever they want, consequence free. And I object to this. I totally object to this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like us saying, "Do I look gay in these leather tights?" Well, yeah, I would. But I should see that in myself. It's healthy for myself to not go out in leather spandex.
But it's like
But,
me walking up to her and going, I've been working out in the gym, I've been going kickboxing, and then smacking her as hard as I can on the shoulder and going, did that hurt? Right?
Yeah, of course it did. Yeah.
Did I break anything? Have you got collarbone damage? Do you need to go to hospital?
Oh my. Yeah, women are kind of short on those things, aren't they? And grouping together appropriate groups, subgroups of.
I was thinking like going back to this male mother need thing. Like there's this grass eater movement in Japan where the men start to behave, more feminine, and they are stuck in these virtual relationship games, and they don't sleep with women. Do you think they're stuck in this male mother need fantasy? Basically, they're not grown up.
Yeah, yeah, that's an interesting question from the other side of what women get from the male mother need fantasy. They get a lot from that, and don't ever pretend that they don't. The major portion of societal's women, they see male mother need as a sexual imperative. I like to look at it's a very sick thing that you see, but there's a certain percentage of sexual fantasies out there where the men likes to dress up in diapers. I can't remember what it's called, and then the woman, does things, feeds them and changes them and does that thing. But that's natural in women to want to be maternal.
Yeah, but they don't want to put that baby's dick in their mouths.
Oh no!
I don't. I find it disturbing, like in terms of a
disturbing.
sexual. Yeah, but I mean, I can't judge grown men and what they do in their beds. That's it. Like my personal beliefs or whatever, man. Whatever. They shouldn't matter. If they have fun, they have fun. Let them go and have fun. But there is, to the question that Reflections asked, in a way, men who are being more feminine, and we need to understand a certain thing. I think the herbivores in Japan are being compared to Mgtow a lot, right? And there is a sociological impact that can occur if the situation changes in the West and mimics what's happening in Japan. But
Right.
I don't think Mgtow are herbivores. I really don't think. We certainly have people like that within the movement, within the community, let's say, but we don't do that. We don't try to, cuddle, hug each other.
Right.
We don't dress. We don't advocate for people to spend all their time indoors. We advocate for men to do whatever they pleased and whatever works for them.
Yeah.
Now, we advocate for men to grow up. We don't want them to grow down. We want them. We want them to be self-reliant. We want them to work for themselves, supply for themselves, be good to themselves, because there's no one else that will take care of them. That's not the situation and how the family structure works in Japan.
Right.
Families over there would support their children. They would come and bring them food even if they stayed home and all these things. It's not exactly how the situation runs in the West. So the reactionary phase of Mgtow, although comparable to the herbivore movement in Japan, I don't think we're similar at all. And I keep telling this to people, but I don't think everyone understands
They're sort of going their own way without the red pill knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they also see, because the traditional Japanese man, he has to work, 80 hours a week and basically give all his money to his wife so she can give him allowance. And they don't want to put up with that, so they just basically they play these relationship games, only work for as much as they need to buy new video games and stuff. And yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
Russia, isn't it?
That's the behavior of a child, man, though. That's the behavior of a child, isn't it?
No,
well,
I
that's what we're
disagree.
saying. Yeah, what we're saying is this trans lesbian thing we see now. It's just easier being a woman. We've seen that with the famous Olympic athlete, just as Caitlyn Jenner. What he said is, "Oh, it's just going to be easier if I'm a woman." I think that's what the herbivore male is saying. It's just easier if I'm not that masculine man.
These Japanese guys, I think they're making a very rational decision, right? If I can put this in PUA terms, if they've gone, okay, fair enough, the world's not fair, I don't get one woman. If I do all the right things, it's more complicated than that, right? And they look at where they are and they go, well, this is going to take a lot of work. Fuck it.
Yeah, no payoff.
Right.
There should be some payoff.
Yeah, but it is a rational decision in a way. However, growing up, being a grown-up, being an adult, it's not about just getting the absolute bare minimum in support of your family or whatever, with just working for a new game, making sure that the roof remains over your head and all that. You need to be an actual adult male into the world, and you need to do what you want. There needs to be something more outside four walls that you appreciate.
Yeah, no, I don't know any of these Japanese guys, but if they're locking themselves up in isolation and sort of not trying to improve their mental state or anything of that nature, then you can make an argument that it's not good for them. But from what I can make out, they get into fashion and stuff. They go out walks. They do what they want in full sight of the world, rather than locking themselves up in a corporation, looking to become the next sort of person to jump out the window. It just seems like a better idea. Because if they look in the mirror, if one of those guys looks in the mirror one day and goes, do you know what, I'm really behind. My sexual market value is low, and the salary men is not going to get me the result I want, then they're not necessarily deciding whether they're going to go a self-destructive route from there or not. They've literally just gone that route over there, the one that we think of as being the sort of corporate blue pill whore. We don't follow that because what we want is something different, a new form of masculinity, a new identity of man that just is better given the starting conditions.
They're sort of almost adopting the female identity, it seems, because of this fashion interest and all this stuff.
Right.
It's basically they're treating themselves as females because they're treating themselves as if they have value in and of themselves and not, what they do, sort of. Right?
Fashion isn't exclusively a female thing. I mean,
especially in Japan. In Japan, it isn't. I don't know with mangas and stuff like that over there, with the culture as it is. It's very different than how it is over here. So they do value fashion a lot more over there.
We have fashion statements. I mean, the successful man goes and buys himself a Porsche or a Ferrari, or goes to Savile Row to buy a suit, or any of these other things. But there are fashion statements that are made by men, and we have ritual outfits as well. When you're in a sports team, you wear that outfit. They're just clothes, but they mean something.
Right. Yeah.
Let's say a group of herbivore men, they move to Europe and they want to be included in the Mgtow movement. Would we accept them, you think, or would we think like they are too feminine or whatever?
Well, they project neoteny, don't they? That's what they're saying. They don't want to be harmed by these traditional values, so that what they do when they dress up like the women, or they over exaggerate their character, is they're just doing what a woman would do. She projects neoteny, and then she gets a different response from the males. In this case, the response they get from the males is sort of a little bit of repulsiveness, isn't it?
Yeah, they're called like grass eaters, and the men is sort of like this traditional man is called like meat eater or something
Yeah,
compared to that. Like they want to eat, they want to fuck, they want to work, you know, to get the wife and everything. But
but
yeah,
I
they
don't
don't
think that they're
focus.
yeah I don't think that they're gay in
Mm.
this in the true sense of being gay, and that's what I think we would confuse in the West. If you've seen a herbivore male, you would say, uh, no, he's gay, he's special, let's just leave him alone. No, they're not projecting that. They're projecting something totally different. Uh,
And they wouldn't give two shits if you thought
right,
they were gay. That's the whole point. I
right.
mean,
That's the whole point. That they don't care. They don't want you. They're not participating. They're not asking permission.
mhm.
And it's a lot like MGTOW.
It
Yeah.
is. Is it though?
But for them, it's more like a social protest almost because you can recognize them on the street. It's not as easy to recognize a MGTOW on the street.
No. Yeah, we haven't gotten that far yet. We are behind. Uh,
We are behind.
I don't know if I want to dress up like a girl, but like TFM says, it could be effective for me to say I'm a lesbian.
I did consider it, but I think it's equally as effective to just claim you're a gay man in a gay relationship with another man and grow a family like that. It's not difficult. I bet my mother would approve, maybe. But yeah, I mean, as long as you can get by, and that is the thing. I mean, it's whatever floats your fucking boat in a way.
Yeah.
As long as you're living true to yourself, and if dressing up in women clothes is what you feel true to yourself, sure.
Yeah,
But
if that's an effective life strategy, then go for it.
hmm, I think it's not. The difference is what we talk about in MGTOW is that nothing is beyond your fucking reach. Maybe me growing to 2.5 meters, that is beyond my reach, but that's due to genetics. But whatever else I can work for, whatever else I can master, whatever else I can do, that's not beyond my reach. If I can work on it, if I can put my effort in it, if I put my mind on it, then I can do it. And it's having goals in your life, because the problem with taking women away, there's nothing else. For a lot of the guys, there's nothing else. Oh, what do I do?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
I'd like to see.
question.
But I find, you know, transitioning to this, that Rollo Tomasi says, yourself as your mental point of origin. So you move from serving others, if you're blue pill, like towards shifting towards serving yourself and
Mhm.
being almost loving yourself more than other people and women, and really having goals and, you know, trying to improve yourself maybe.
But that is a conscious decision, and what I'm finding in the herbivores or whatever, I mean, there is a conscious decision, but it's not a conscious decision towards improvement. It's understanding that things are shit. I'm giving up.
Right.
Mm.
This is not giving up. I really don't see MGTOW as giving up. I haven't given up in anything. I still have
Me
fuckloads
neither.
of goal. Yeah.
No, I'm
Right.
trying to make myself a sleeper, you know, like one of those cars that's got a V12 under the hood, but it looks old and it looks knackered, you know? That's what I'm going
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, we would just replace our goals in MGTOW, and that's a large part of this discussion here, how to entertain yourself, you know, for yourself and not entertaining others. That's what they're saying is we're not going to be the entertainment no more. We're not going to be the utility anymore. But we have to replace that with something. What do we replace it with? For us, it's more manageable, practical things like hobbies and what we do at work, in learning. For them, it's dress and fashion, and that way. Do they
I don't.
correlate?
Do they? Is there a community? Do these guys talk with each other? Do they find comfort with each other? That's what I don't understand. I really don't have a clear understanding of what the herbivores are. From what I understand, it's just guys alone that have all decided to do this.
Yeah, can you go to a herbivore site like we can go to a MGTOW site? I've never found one. And of course, I don't speak Japanese either.
That doesn't help, does it? They're unlikely to be an international wing anytime soon.
But what I find is like it's very hard to transition if you're like a raised blue pillar, and it's hard to transition to focusing like moving away from being this workhorse to just focusing on yourself. It's like a mental transition you need to take somehow, a journey.
Yeah.
To value yourself more, and it's yeah.
It's difficult, and that's why I'm trying to understand how it happened over there. I mean, who speaks Japanese? Who the fuck speaks Japanese?
Yeah, who speaks Japanese? That's a...
Whoa, I probably have a friend who speaks Japanese.
I mean, we could translate it on Google if we really wanted to put that kind of effort into knowing.
But how
what
will
they were
you
saying.
find it?
Yeah, but how do you find it? Yeah, that's been a difficult problem. It's not like I haven't looked. It's like we're being censored or blocked.
And to be fair, has anyone seen the Wikipedia link for Mgtow? I'm gonna read it out to you guys.
Oh no, yeah, read that.
Right, Mgtow Wikipedia. Men going. It's a rational wiki, right?
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
All right, the men going their own way. Mgtow, pronounced as Mgtow, movement. Is an offshoot of the men's rights movement, resembling some kind of straight male separatism. Basically, Mgtowers, anyway, buy into the rhetoric of men's right advocates, e.g. society is actually biased against men, not women. But instead of trying to address these alleged issues, they have vowed either to stay away from women altogether or to stop marrying women and having children. In other words, it's a hilarious analog to the lesbian separatism movement, but without homosexuality. Many Mgtowers don't believe men should become gay as an element of further rebellion. Power? It's question mark this. It's unclear if the movement has any power beyond disgruntled douchebags talking shit about women on the internet. As a general rule, the reaction of sane people is go your own way and stop whining already. GTOW.
That's fair. That's pretty fair.
The going their own way part is often framed not just as manly self-preservation, but as a strike that is supposed to punish women.
Yeah.
In the worldview of all too many Mgtowers, women are succubi-like creatures who seduce men in order to exploit them, but are unable to support themselves without men to exploit. It's worth mentioning that there is a strong whiff of overt misogyny wafting around many in the movement. There are amusing parallels here with the notion of going galt that is popular among libertarians who overestimate their importance in the grand scheme of things. It's perhaps telling that despite professing to go their own way, they seem utterly incapable of stopping talking about women in their internet forum. Asian women. There is more. Asian women. Occasionally, Mgtowers. What the fuck is wrong with this person? Why couldn't she? Never mind. Mgtowers who support marriage will advocate that Western men try marrying Asian women instead, as they're apparently more demure and submissive. Asian American feminists and other decent human beings are wholly disgusted by this idea, as are the Mgtowers who also frequent Stormfront. Mgtows, first person, I think someone wrote the really thing. Mgtows, in common with the MRAs, often speak of a mystical form of enlightenment referred to as taking the red pill. While have a number of things in common, the MRA and Mgtow communities have known to butt heads. Men's rights advocates take issue, especially with Mgtows who choose to not be more authoritarian and dominant with women as they keep their distance from them with regards to marriage and making children. Stefan Molyneux, one of the leading figures of the movement, anyway, has been very vocal in being against Mgtow community. He's taken issue especially with their refusal to engage in marriage and having children. The latter, he's been especially noteworthy in remarking that refusing to give birth to children is selfish, despite himself being a stalwart advocate of purely selfish behavior. Right. So, guys, I think you should really look at this link. It's amazing. I think it's amazing. This is a clear description of what we advocate, and I think that feminist who worked on that piece did a very good job.
Yeah, that's David Fristella, isn't it? We hunted the mammoth. He coined the Mgtow thing, and just for that page started off with just a plain David Fristella explanation of Mgtow, which was really insulting, and that's where it's developed to. But it still has the echoes of David Fristella.
I'm working on a different wiki page for Mgtow.
There's one where we're valid political targets, and we're included on that, which I thought was quite amusing.
I'll give you guys this link. I don't know if it's supposed to go out, but it's called Mgtow Wiki. Mgtow Wiki. So it's Mgtow Iki.
Yeah, there's a better one out there, and I think that's the wiki.
Yeah, I've edited some of this. This wiki is dedicated to archiving the generating knowledge that is central to the men going their own way movement, with primary emphasis on topics that cannot be freely discussed or researched in academic and scientific circles for reasons of political correctness. Gender differences, male-female interaction, evolutionary psychology, and all the consequences of these facts with regard to legal and cultural systems, as well as the consequences of societies and individuals denying these facts. Mgtow is a community of individuals focused on YouTube and also forums situated on websites such as Mgtow.com. Mgtow came about as a response to the current dating scenes that exist in Western society. The laws and the abuse that many men have to endure have shown men that it will be beneficial to them if they were to get. It would not be beneficial to them if they were to get married. Laws such the new Yes Means Yes law, the high rate of divorces, child support, high divorce settlements, and default child custody in the favor of females, the welfare state, are observed realities that the Mgtow community observes and advocates for men to avoid. As such, Mgtow men have decided to shun away marriage and cohabitation with females. This enables the man to keep himself safer and protect his resources. So this is much better.
Yeah, that's much better. Yeah, you can see growth in there from a few, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. We had that original description, and then now with that description, you can see real huge growth in Mgtow from that.
Yeah, well, I edited some things, and there is still a lot of work that needs to go into this. I think it kept getting attacked by feminists, so it's now like 2 or 3 people editing it. But yeah.
Yeah, if David Fristella edits anything, and he does do a lot of editing for Wiki and Rational Wiki, it's going to get skewed in his view, and God,
that's why we have our. That's why we have our own. Yeah. This is on Rational Wiki. Sorry, the other one is on Mgtow Wiki.
Wiki page, yeah.
MgtowWiki.com. I'll give it to the guys in the description. They can have a look and give me feedback. If you want to add any article in it, please send it to nc.askmequestions@gmail.com.
I read that Wikipedia definition of Mgtow, and it's already been hijacked, like you say.
Right.
And to amend any of it, you have to go through moderators and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah.
They should respect the groups and close it. You know, they should close it, but they don't, and that's one of the things you're going to get out of Wiki.
This one, the one that I can edit, is closed.
Okay, good. It's closed. They can't come around and do that thing to us that they often do. Just change a few words and then make it look gynocentric.
Yeah, but that's a female thing. That's what they excel at. You know, underhanded stuff like that, backstabbing. I mean, it's not really the sort of thing men think of. So that's why.
Well, it could be MRAs that have done it. It could be PUAs that have done it. It could be anyone. Blue pill. It doesn't necessarily have to be a woman. I don't think we're very liked. if you know what I mean. We're not very liked.
We threaten everything they believe in. Sure, we're not liked. But they can go fuck themselves. Like you say, Nico, they can suck my big fat dick. I don't care.
I can understand women and feminists not liking us, but the blue pill men are in such a state of denial that they really they must have so much inner turmoil there. You know, they're thinking, fuck, I know he's true. I can't stand this fucking bitch. And, you know, if I did lose my job tomorrow, she would kick me out.
Right.
They know that. They know that's true. But until it happens, they've just got to fucking keep living this lie.
You know, I don't think when these things come around that we're fighting women necessarily, but we are fighting women who want to define the conversation, and there's a big difference there.
Right.
Now, I've been going against what was the conventional wisdom of Mgtow for a month and a half or so, and I've been speaking to people on the street randomly, people I work with, stuff like that, about Mgtow themes. And one of the ones, going back to male mother need, that's gone down really well is this male mother need. They love it. They love the idea that there's men out there that are acknowledging in some way that mothers had some use, right? Yeah. These sort of edit battles, we're fighting with them over editing rights for voice in the conversation, not about policy. You know, it's literally just about who gets to be a parasite and define a conversation and, you know, claim their piece of the world by that action. They're who we're actually up against.
Man, we don't have to let them define the conversation. We don't have to do shit.
No, yeah.
So,
we haven't defined a conversation because there's no headquarters. There's no place where they can go and get the mission statement and then see it solidly on, this is Mgtow, this is our mission statement, and fuck you guys. They can make it up as they go because we haven't done that.
Well, do you know what this male mother need? It's just occurred to me. You know, we were talking before about having two women, one to mother you and one to be a bitch. You know, like Jerry Hall said, you know, a woman needs to be, you know, a chef in the kitchen and a whore in the bedroom, that sort of thing. This male mother need is something that's never going to be found, because for a woman to mother you, you're looking for her to cook you meals, wash your clothes, you know, do all those things, you know, take care of you. But the feminist quickly hijacked that with this make me a sandwich bollocks. You know, it's demeaning for you to make him a fucking sandwich, even if he pays all the bills. So the male mother need thing, I think, was one of the first things they took hold of, because they didn't want to do that. They're saying, this is what you expect of women, you're not getting that anymore. You're not getting any fucking services from a woman, yet you still have to fulfill your responsibilities as a man. But they never let go, apart from the fucking dykes, they never let go of the sex thing. You know, women still need cock, and they go out and they get cock wherever they fucking, you know, from wherever they want. But it was the mothering a man, or even respecting a man, appreciating a man, and giving something back. It shocks me, actually.
Yeah.
They said, you don't have to do this for men anymore, and women readily said, without questioning, no, we don't. Fuck men. And they never thought, you know, to ask themselves, but that man provides everything. He goes out, he works his fucking fingers to the bone, you know, he puts a roof over her head, he does all of that. And then she says, well, the feminist said, I don't have to fucking do anything for you. Nothing. You know, and the next thing is like, well, you're going to have to fucking help out in the kitchen, you're going to have to help out with the kids, you're going to have to help out with the household chores. So the male mother need thing, I think, just harks back to, it's not a motherly need, it's just a male need for a woman to fucking pull her own weight. You know, I do this for the household, you fucking do that. Where does it end?
Yeah, they don't
if
want
we
to.
switch the roles, and there was a male feminist group before feminists ever happened, and this male feminist group said, right, men, you don't have to go out and work anymore or pay the bills. You don't have to do that for women, but they still have to cook and clean and do all of that stuff. Where would we fucking stand? You know, we'd be like, come on, woman, cook, clean, and she'd say, but you haven't brought any money in. And we'd say, well, you know, the male feminists told us we don't have to anymore.
Right.
You know, we don't owe you anything. And you know,
I'm a strong, independent man. I do what I want.
Yeah, strong, independent man. I'm going to sit around doing fuck all, and you're going to do everything. And when I'm bored of you, I'm going to kick you out, and the government's going to fucking send a whore round, or send a cleaner round to fulfill your role.
Right. Yeah. They don't want to talk about that accountability and responsibility thing. They want their cake and they want to eat it too.
Yeah.
Well, why wouldn't you though? I mean, sorry, I know I say this a lot, but why wouldn't you? If you
why
could
wouldn't
get away
you?
with it and there was no consequences, why wouldn't you?
Right. Yeah. There is no consequences, and we have this section of men that white knight and lean in and do all these things because they think that's acceptable, and that's the majority. The poor little women can't take care of themselves, and there's this undertone in there that they can't take care of themselves. No, it's
But
just
what I'm thinking, like, if you need this type of male mother need and you need to feel taken care of, then I feel like you should start to, take care of yourself better. Like, maybe do these things that girls do, like get a cute little pet, go for a massage, like spa treatments, treat yourself well, love yourself, all that.
But even when you start doing the things that you expected women to do, like washing your own clothes or cooking your own meals, you think, wow, she fucking got off light. This is easy.
yeah.
The things they complained about are saying, oh, you treat me like a slave. Why? Because you spent 2 minutes putting something in a washing machine and pushed a button.
Yeah,
And
before the housework
you
was actual
realize,
work, but now with modern technology, it's not so much work.
yeah, so they've lost. I mean,
So
whereas
they
they
got
had
the
that luxury.
dishwashers, and they don't need to, clean it by the river, and you know,
Yeah, but we don't need to clean it by the river now. We can work
no,
a
yeah,
washing machine. We don't
But
need a
this
woman to
isn't.
work a
Yeah.
washing machine.
Sorry, gents, to interrupt, but this
Right. I
isn't
hear.
this isn't male mother need. This is something else. Male mother need is I've had a hard day, and that other person in your life is going, well, okay, fair enough. I'll put all my needs aside for a minute and listen to you. That's male mother need. It's like these sort of emotional supporting type things that we lose.
Yeah,
It's like you
females.
said, you can make your own fucking sandwich. Do you know what I mean? Your world isn't going to change that much. But when you've lost a counsellor, let's say, almost, then that hurts when it's not there.
But have you ever known a woman to listen to you when you've got genuine problems, not when even when you're just venting? She will turn it around
Right.
to her. So it's never been there. It's always like, oh yeah, I had a shit day at work. So and so fucking got sent to hospital. He had a bad accident, and I didn't get paid, and I'm really pissed off, and all the things that really matter. And she'll say, oh, guess what? We had an argument at work because so and so went early to the fucking nail salon. And the next thing you know, you're thinking, well, what the fuck are we talking about this shit for?
Yeah, of course. My mother, hence the name. If I call up my old dear, and not now, but if used to, if I call her up and I say, "Oh, I've got problems with such and such," she'll listen, or would have, for a couple of hours, right? Whereas a girlfriend or a partner or something, they will listen to a point, and then they'll be like, "Hang on a minute, I'm not getting my needs met here," and they'll start imposing their needs onto the conversation, and it feels empty. It's not empty, but it feels.
it's like if you take them seriously, like they can actually solve your problem, and you're trying to lay it out for them. It's like then they freak out and panic, almost.
But the
I
mother
know.
need, if that's the definition of the male mother need, if you're going to them talking about your problems, it goes back to that old PUA thing where they're like, "What the fuck is he doing?" This is like talking to one of my female friends. He just comes home and whinges, "Oh, I've had such a hard day," and all that sort of stuff. And then if you don't keep your problems to yourself, the woman's just going to think you're less of a man, and oh god, all he does is fucking complain. And
That's why I say it's naivety, because it's if you never took the stabilizers off a bike, you'd still be riding around on a bike with stabilizers. It's just that.
it's true. It's true. I just had an image of a fully grown man riding around on him.
I'll
I
take
have
a few
a
pictures.
friend who actually learned how to ride a bicycle, man. We
You
had
need
to.
those stabilizers.
We needed stabilizers. We couldn't get them. We had to push him around. It was so weird. But now he can ride a bicycle. And he
Yeah.
also wipes his own ass. But yeah, you need to be able to do things for yourself.
That's
And
a useful life skill, you know, wiping your own ass.
yeah, it is, and always remember front to back, right? But look, the way that I see it, because you guys were talking about what you expect, I've never actually discussed with any girls about work, about problems, about anything like that. I never expect them to understand. It's not because it's difficult, but I don't think they understand how I see it. So.
But that's
It's
why
got-
men go to bars after work, you know. After
Yeah.
work, they'll go to a pub or a bar for an hour or two to speak to men. Otherwise, they're going to go home all stressed out and, you know, probably take it out on the wife, you know, be short-tempered and that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, there's no point telling women about your problems. They don't care. They don't understand.
Well, they do care, but it's not their job to do it exclusively, and I think that's the
But
problem, because the mother need thing is like,
so egotistical and always focused on themselves. It's
It's
like
not.
they
It's
don't
not
have
even
space for it.
egotistical, man. You can do the same thing. I didn't talk to her about my fucking job. She came back, talked to me about uni stuff. I'm like, not interested, and went and did my own thing. We basically joined forces together whenever I penetrated. That's about it. The discussions were just the minimum amount of discussions, and that's what works. That's what works. Think of it like this: in the past, women would not entertain thoughts about what a man would do at his work or anything like that, and everything would be separated, completely separated. The woman would do this, you would do this, right? If you expect the same thing, you should expect the same thing now, because that worked brilliantly in the past. If you want to have a relationship with a woman, you shouldn't talk about work. She shouldn't talk to you about work. Doesn't matter. Talk about fucking random stuff, but don't talk
But
about work.
can you ask women for like girl stuff, like relationship advice or like those sort of people things?
I wouldn't even do that,
Mm.
because I would think she talks about these things with her girlfriends. Whatever I say, I'm gonna save it when I meet the guy. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter, man. Women just want the attention. Just give her the attention in another way. Have sex with her. I know it sounds terribly misogynistic of me saying this, but they don't listen. You're not gonna get anything back. You're not gonna give her anything back, especially if you offer opinions. She's not looking for opinions. She's looking for someone to listen to her talk at him. That's why she's looking for a listening board. So while you're talking to her and she expects you to talk to her because she thinks you're expecting a listening board, you're expecting advice, right? Have you not seen girls talking to each other? They talk about like 3 different things. Like there's no advice that
They
goes.
talk at the same time. Women,
Yeah.
I've seen these, and especially middle-aged women, they will talk at the same time, and I think you're having a conversation that she's not listening to, and you're having a conversation she's not listening to, and they will both just speak, so they get to tell their side of the story. Neither of them listen or give opinions.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
they walk away and they go, oh, I'm so glad I got that off my chest. And you think, well, you fucking both did, but neither of you listened or responded.
Yeah, or offered any advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
People to listen to them. Like, can't they just use a voice recorder and just like?
Oh, there's straight shooter in the chat. Just seen him.
Yeah, no,
Hello,
we see
straight
that.
shooter. I love you, man.
Yeah,
And
we see-
Black Gnostic Speaks, legend.
we've seen that in the Mgtow description there, didn't we?
That-
They were saying that Mgtows talk about women all the time, but what they were talking about is Mgtows talking about women. So they were talking about us, talking about them. So what's the difference, and did they really get it?
But what are we going to talk about, right? We have to talk about the reasons why we're Mgtow, right? And the reason, right? The natural order of things is you want to keep your penis inside the woman for as long as possible, hopefully long enough so that children will pop out after 9 months. That is what what the natural order of things is. So once you move away from that natural order, let's say, you need to explain why you moved away. And we do talk about other things as well. To be fair, we talk about more about those things in, what do you call it, in videos rather than when we do it in chats. I think when guys get together, they talk about their dicks and pussy. That's what generally.
No, you do.
Yeah,
you do.
Fair, it's me.
And I go along with it because, you know, it's like the pecking order of conversations. If I go to, oh man, I was, you know, I've been reading about politics or something, then sex trumps that, even for us red pill guys. Sex trumps politics or anything else. We're obsessed.
Really does, though. We're all obsessed. We're all sex obsessed, are we not?
Right. That was my example when I identify myself as asexual, because I don't want the conversation going that direction. Sometimes I want to talk about the nuts and bolts of things. I just don't want to get diverted all the time. And if you notice, the easiest way to divert us is the special justice warriors. The easiest way to divert us is getting us talking about sex, and that's all it will do. And what we're really talking about is women.
The thing is, I've got to say this: I'm not sex obsessed. I was when I was younger, but now I'm not. And like I said before, it's just a distraction.
Yeah.
It gets in the way of me doing constructive things, and that's not sex. That's just the urge. So like I say, I'll be reading something and I'll think, oh, for fuck's sake, I need a wank. I'll go and have a wank. I'll get rid of it and I'll come back and I'll read and I think, oh shit, you know, I've just lost 10 minutes there.
Do you think that? Okay, let me talk to you about sex addicts, right? If females are sex addicts, they will use toys as well, but they will mainly have a lot of sex with men, right? If men are sex addicts, they will masturbate fuckloads while also going out and having sex depending on their looks and whatever. When men are sex obsessed, they masturbate. Yeah. Right? That's what sex obsession is. It's an urge.
I tell you what then, you know what I think? I think they should ban dildos. Because so many men in their blue pill days came home and they wanted to fuck their wives, and their wife said no, but she let that plastic robot dick fuck her, you know, twice as many times as she let her husband fuck her.
Yeah, that's so accepted in our society. They sell those things on children's. You know, how many times have I've been watching, you know, Cartoon Network, and all of a sudden you see a commercial for the massager.
The massager.
Yeah, she's holding it up against her face and going, "Oh, that feels good on my face." And I'm thinking, no, you know where you put that.
I never minded the dildos, man. I never minded them. I have on occasion purchased them and used them with a woman. And even told her to fuck off and use the dildo instead.
I bought one for a girlfriend. She said, buy me a rabbit.
Hey.
And, and I thought she meant a pet, but she wanted a fucking dildo. So I went into Ann Summers and I bought her this rabbit. Fucking hell, I mean, she put out half as much as she did before. She was like, oh, this is great. I said, yeah, it's fucking great for you.
Yeah. Now this is Barbarossa's anatomical
I've never had that.
robot.
I've never had that.
Maybe she wanted me to, you know, maybe she wanted me to, I don't know, shove it up her, you know, but I was never around.
She wanted you to compete with the dildo. It's sad. I'm
not competing with that fucking thing. It's got 8 speeds and fucking rotating the head.
How many speeds have you got?
Yeah, 1.5 horse motor.
No, probably 3 at most. Drunk, sober. Drunk, sober, and hungover. That's my 3 speeds.
Yeah, you're not half a man. My dildo is. That's what I heard that from women, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's not even a man. It's just a plastic cock.
Yeah.
It's a plastic anatomical extension of a male. That was Barbarossa's argument. He was saying, well, when people look at these anatomical robots that are developing in society, they look at them as bad. But every single day we see a girl or a woman using these things over here, which are just the same thing.
Yeah, and it's also like, it seems like women think it's weird if a guy has a pocket pussy at home or something.
Yeah.
They feel like, oh, they say that's not natural.
That's not natural. Yeah, it's society's
using,
perception
themselves. So.
But the thing is, I mean, for me, I wouldn't want to fuck a pocket pussy or one of these fake ass things, or even a fucking rubber doll. No matter how realistic it was, I just wouldn't want to do it. And I don't understand how women can. Nearly every woman has got a fucking dildo in her bedside cupboard, and it's perfectly all right for them. But for me, it's got to be the real thing or nothing.
Or porn.
It's nothing.
No, man. Women have an idea in their heads, right? They have an idea in her head. Even when you're asleep, I keep telling this to people. Women don't fall in love with the man. We say they fall in love with what the man is, but she doesn't even do that in a way. She falls in love with the narrative. There is a narrative in her head that's playing out whenever you're fucking her. If that woman is a romantic woman in a way, if you tie her up and fuck her straight out of the ass, right, keep plowing that ass, she will think that's a romantic act because she's in that state in her brain. Right, that's just the narrative that women create in their heads. That's why the dildo works so well. It has so many speeds. You close your eyes, you imagine a guy doing that, you play the narrative in your head, boom, boom, you're done.
I agree, because when she's getting fat and she says, "Does my ass look big in this?" That's a look up from her reading the book, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Still playing out that narrative. She's going, I better just check and make sure I'm still in touch with reality.
It's all about the narrative. Why do women even have sex with guys at all?
Because we create the narrative. Okay, let me tell you this. Do you think women like checking out men's naked bodies and all these things? They've done studies on this. Women enjoy looking at men. Okay, they enjoy well-built men and all these things. And they enjoy when a guy takes off his t-shirt. When he takes it off, not when he's parading around with his six-pack and all his muscles showing and all that. And they enjoy looking at men who are well-built. They have this body, but they also wear a nice shirt. They have a good fashion sense. They like that perception that man gives of power, of achievement, of money. It's status. It's different. We can't compare ourselves to how women view this.
But is it like if the man makes the narrative, it will be something new from what she would make up in her head?
But that's...
I can compare this, Nico, exactly what you just said. I had a girlfriend, she was the daughter of the customers I was working for. But the customers understood that, there was something going on. So I took her out. She was absolutely stunning. She was a belly dancer.
Nice.
And she was beautiful. And she came back to my house, it was on. We were going to fuck. And she went to the bathroom. And I thought, right, I'm going to get fucking naked, man. I'm going to get naked. I'm ready for this. And I got fucking stark bollock naked. And I had a boner, And she walked in and she went, oh, wow. She goes, you're already undressed. I went, well, yeah. And she said, oh, but that's the best bit.
Yes.
She wanted to see me undress. And I thought, what do you want me to do? Put my clothes back on again? And I thought, oh, fuck, I don't know. I don't know how your mind works. But that's what she wanted to see. She wanted to see the shirt come off and, I went straight to the main course and she wanted a fucking starter. But,
It's not even the starter, man. It's different. It's what you portray. It's the image in your head, and you're just undressing and you reveal your body and all these things. That's the act. It's the narrative that she wants to play in her head. That's why when I approach women and all this stuff, I play a narrative. I am the person that I am. I give them orders. I say things like that, and I never shift from that narrative, because once that goes away, then there's nothing for them to go off on. Like that's what they find attractive. They create this narrative in their head. You can help that narrative as well by what you say and how you behave, but it's different. It's different for them.
I still burned her anyway.
Yeah, didn't we see just a recent example of that girl trying to reframe the paradigm of the narrative to the what did she call it, the house husband, kind of chubby guy?
Oh, the dad bod.
The dad bod, yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah, is that bullshit? Is that 100% bullshit because they don't respect that? But what they see in that is the beta male provider, don't they?
But man, look at it like this. If a woman has exactly this, who was it? It was Barbarossa who made this in one of his videos. If you put exactly the same men with the same level of game, with the same way to approach women, exactly equal in every way, and the one guy has more money than the other one, they will choose that guy. But if you put exactly the same things equal and one guy has a better body than the other guy, then they will pick that guy with the better body. Everything is a comparison. Anything that you have more than another guy is a competition. Of course it's a competition.
Right, they can see, women, there's been studies done that women can see the amount of testosterone by looking at a man's face. And you can do simple things like raising your testosterone. And I've noticed that this works. I've just done it. I've got more responses by just raising the testosterone level in my body, just 40%. And then when I was walking around out there, it was like they were stuck in the headlight on me.
I want to make a phrase here which you could destroy, because I don't think there's any such thing as a good civilized fuck.
Mm.
Where I'm going with this is that part of the attraction process is undressing various layers about a person, so that you get down to that sort of basic natural drive to just fuck, basically. And if some of that is taking clothes off, or some of that is dropping particular illusions of character and so on, these are all stages that you can go through slowly or fast to arrive at the same point where you're basically just naked humans fucking, right?
It's like the thing about, I come from I'm 42, so I come from the generation, and we believed from the porno mags we saw when we were kids that women should be stockings, suspenders, all that sort of stuff. They never did it because they grew out of that. But if you had a woman who wore all that fucking racing gear for you, you couldn't wait to get that shit off of her. You wanted to see her naked. Get that fucking shit off now. That's done its job, and you want to see them, like you say, in the raw. You wanted to see them naked. It's not.
Yeah, it does its job. It's
like the fantasy doesn't live up to it. You think, okay, well, that wasn't what I expected. Let's just.
I don't know. It's just a speed thing, I think. Like, if you've got if you're too, I don't know, concerned with work or something like that, right? And your life is defined by how much you're concerned with work, and then all of a sudden you get into a situation where a girl's chatting to you, you're working up to fucking her. Losing the attention that you used to put on something else gradually is going to be part of the build-up.
Yeah.
Someone save us from this conversation.
No, I think it's going somewhere. I think we need to carry on.
But exactly what type of narrative are we talking about here? Like, she's playing a story in her head? Is that what you're saying, Nico?
Yeah, you started this, Nico. Come on. Oh, look, he's muted his mic.
Yeah. Okay. It's about it's 5 minutes to 2, and I usually let these things run about 3 hours for palatability. And we can, kind of summarize and kind of give our final thoughts, and then we can talk on air afterwards. But for the live broadcast, we'll be shutting down within about 5 minutes. Anybody got some final words to say on
I want to
Mgtow?
carry on where we left off. I want to
I
finish,
want to know
I want
more
to
about
finish
the
what we
narrative.
started. No, the narrative was women like to see a man undress for a reason. And the same thing was compared to men. Men like to see a woman undress for a reason. So what is the thinking behind that? I'm going to text you, Nico. If you don't unmute your mic, I'm going to in real time.
Yeah. Well, they're very sexual. They want the same thing as we want. Something nice to look at, and for them, it's very different. We can't understand that. I'll always say that. I don't know what a good-looking man looks like. I'm not looking for that. So I can't understand what they're looking for. But they're looking for that certain, certain type of man that turns them on, and that's different for every woman. Like you said, so, I've seen examples in my life where a woman comes home and, or the man comes home and he's just full of sweat and dirt, and that turns him right on.
Is this to say that? I mean, if it's a predominantly female thing, if she doesn't like what she sees when that man takes his shirt off, is she going to then refuse? Is she going to begrudgingly let him? If it's down to her approval of the way the man looks, once he's removed that shirt, which attracted her to him in the first place. Because I've had friends say, I met my girlfriend because she liked my shirt. And no word of a lie. She liked my shirt because she perceived him to have money because he was wearing a designer shirt.
Right. Yeah. I don't think it's that shallow with women. I think they do see money, and they do see wealth. They see power. They see structure. They see assertiveness, aggressiveness. There's a lot of things.
When he takes the shirt off, what do they see?
They see
a chubby, out of shape man who they don't want to have sex with, but they're prepared to have sex with.
But they will have sex with them. Yeah.
Yeah, he can afford a shirt like that. Fuck it, he can pay for my fucking false nails.
Right. Yeah, because they see in the future gains, resource gains.
So there's a complete difference between the woman's perception of a man after he takes his shirt off. I mean, she then makes the judgment whether she's prepared to let him fuck her. Based on the assertion of the clothes he's wearing and how much money she perceives him to have, and whether she's sexually attracted to him. Whereas men just go, I don't give a fuck what you're wearing. You could be wearing a fucking Primark fucking string vest, for all I care. But if you've got decent jugs that haven't lost the war against gravity, I'm going to fuck you. That's the difference between men and women.
That is the difference. Yeah.
I think women make the financial risk-reward calculation.
Right.
Yeah, and the fun part of that is when he takes his shirt off, if he's a decent-looking bloke who they're attracted to, then that's a bonus. If he's not, she'll suffer him.
Right.
She'll suffer him getting on top of him. Whereas a man will just go, I don't give a fuck how much money you've got. I'll pay for everything. But your tits better not be saggy, otherwise, I'm going to go looking for something else.
Yeah. Their brains are smaller than ours too. It's the example of evolutionary psychology with the brush turkey. The brush turkey goes up to the male and he needs to have this mound built. And if that mound is acceptable, she'll mate with him because that gives the future her future genetics somewhere to live, and they take an account for that. They're no different than brush turkeys in a way.
Yeah.
Let's think about the brain being bigger in men. I don't know that it really plays as much of a role in boosting men as it should do. I don't think it's actually much of anything to be proud of, right? Because if I, for instance, needed to, when I left the house, walk along a beam and then vault over a wall, right, I would have to do more stuff to get down the road than not. I would probably, after a few thousand years of this type of expectation placed on me, have accommodated that in my brain somewhere. I'm not entirely sure that having a bigger brain is necessarily a good thing. It might just mean there's more limits placed on you.
Right, yeah, I always say, people give the example of we only use 10% of our brain. Well, that's 90% to use, but that's so false when you think about it. We use what's available to us.
You know, I was thinking about these fetish things, right? Like, why is it, for instance, that nuns are one of the go-to sort of fetish things? It seems to have been like a constant throughout life. If a man can break a nun, it's like, that's good, right? So going back to that earlier thing before, it's not so much about getting the habit off the nun and getting consent, but it's her depacking all of the social limitations that she's had through the years that allow her to then transcend into this sort of feral state where she just wants to fuck.
Forbidden fruit. It's that thing that you can't have. You think, why can't I have it?
Yeah.
If nuns were readily available, and every woman that had sex was dressed as a nun, you'd go, I'm so bored of having sex with nuns.
Nuns fucking everywhere. Red light districts is just full of nuns.
It's true, though, isn't it? It's that.
Oh, God.
It's
50
that
quid, bless you, my child.
Okay, I'm going to shut this down for the live broadcast part, and then we'll continue the conversation and off the air. Thanks a lot for everybody showing up today, and it was a great conversation, and we had a great cast of commenters, but we didn't get to a lot of the comments. There were no really questions asked, and I'm going to stop the broadcast right about now.